Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Kanahigaku no Sato, Hidden Leaf Village, was experiencing one of its greatest catastrophes since the first Hokage, and Madara Uchiha founded it. The Kyubi no Yoko, nine-tailed fox, had appeared in the village out of nowhere and began to destroy it, causing extensive damage and casualties. Hiruzen Sarutobi, aka the Sandame Hokage, was organizing the troops that would take care of the Kyubi. He had planned a direct attack, where the principal clans of the village would be the bait so that he can have time to summon Enka Enma, Monkey King, Enma, to use one of the jutsu that made him the Shinobi no Kami, god of shinobi. That jutsu was the Henge, Kongonie, transformation, adamantine staff, and he intended to use it to pull the Kyubi away from the village, to reduce the collateral damage that the fox was causing. Having everything ready, the Sandame commanded the troops to carry the plan out. With the Kyubi away from the village, everyone thought that they could now make a better plan to contain the demon fox outside the village. It seemed that everything was fine until everyone felt a tremendous amount of chakra that came from the Kyubi. Turning around and looking up, they could see that the Kyubi was creating a giant chakra ball right in front of his snout. Hiruzen, who was aware of this technique, felt panic, but he could not show weakness. He had to protect his village, so he gave new orders. Anyone who can use the earth element, step forward and use the Doton, Doriahiki. We need to hold back that attack or everything will be lost. The Sandame said while all the earth users began to use the jutsu, but it was too late since the Kyubi was about to throw the Baijudama, tailed beast ball. However, just when everybody had thought that they would die, a huge toad appeared out of nowhere and fell upon the Kyubi, and a second later, the Kyubi had disappeared from that place. Hiruzen, who was closer, could just think Minato. Minutes before, the Yandame Hokage had been in a fierce battle against a mysterious masked man. That strange man was powerful. However, it wasn't his power what worried him, but his final words, "I'll be back, and the Kyubi will be mine," and after that, the man disappeared into a swirling distortion. However, Minato could not worry about that now since the Kyubi was still in his village and he had to protect it. He would not allow this to continue. He had to seal the Kyubi again, and he could only think of one thing that might work. Now, the Yandame Hokage had transported the Kyubi to a place far away from the village, where the beast would cause no more damage. He disappeared in a yellow flash and reappeared in the same way. This time, a red-haired and very tired-looking woman, who carried in her arms 2 bundles wrapped in blankets of orange and black color, accompanied him. These people were Kushina Uzumaki, the wife of the Yandame Hokage, Menma Uzumaki, and Naruto Uzumaki. They were their children, and both of them were blonde and had dark blue eyes. The Yandame was exhausted, but he still had to seal the fox. Kushina, realizing what her husband had in mind, became concerned. Therefore, chains made of chakra came out of her back that coiled around the Kyubi, keeping him still. "Minato, you can't do this. If you do that, we'll condemn the lives of our children. Let me do this. I will take the Kyubi along with me, and I will delay his rebirth," Kushina pleaded with difficulty as she tightened the chakra chains. Minato didn't want to do this either, but he didn't know where the Kyubi could reborn, and his rebirth would be much worse if anyone else caught him. Therefore, he placed a barrier around the area and told Kushina about his short battle with the mysterious man. "I understand," Kushina said after hearing all that, but she still was undecided. She knew that their children would have a hard life with much pain and loneliness if they did this, but she was confident that they could master this power and protect those who despised them. Then Minato continued with the ritual. He summoned 2 stones and placed both of their children there. Then he explained what he would do. "Kushina, I will use the Shiki Fujin, sealing jutsu, Reaper Death Seal, to seal the Kyubi's power in Menma, and the Hack no Fuin Shiki, 8 trigram sealing style, to seal the Kyubi's consciousness within Naruto. I trust in Sandame-sama. He will take care of our children, and he won't let that anything bad happen to them," Minato stated as he did the seals to summon the Shinigami, Death God. He already knew that this would cost his life, but it was for the sake of the village and the elemental nations. The Death God was visible for Minato, so he continued with the ritual. Then a transparent blue hand came out from Minato's stomach, which headed to the Kyubi until grabbing him. Minato extracted as much chakra as he could from him. It was about 95% of the Kyubi's total power, and he quickly sealed it inside Menma, but this was not over yet. So he quickly performed more hand seals and shouted Hack no Fuin Shiki, 8 trigram sealing style, and he immediately sealed the rest of the Kyubi's power and consciousness inside Naruto. "Done," an exhausted Minato said as he looked at the Shinigami. While he was waiting for his fate, he never realized that he was archly smiling. Therefore, when he thought that the Shinigami had spared his life, he turned around to see Kushina, who was not moving. He quickly ran to her, but it was too late, so he turned around again and furiously glared at the Shinigami. "What did you do?" Minato asked, but the Shinigami could not stop smiling. He raised his sword and pointed it to where his children were, more specifically, to where Naruto was. Minato realized that his son began to convulse while a red cloak surrounded him. He quickly ran towards him and tried to raise him, only to find out that it was like touching the acid. Therefore, he turned around to look to the Shinigami, but this time with an eye of hatred, only to find out that he was gone. He turned around to see Naruto again, who had stopped moving, and the cloak of red chakra had disappeared. Minato panicked and picked his son up, only to find out that he was not breathing. He tried to do something but then realized that it was too late. He cried on his chest as several Anbu along with the Sandaime arrived at the scene. The Sandaime had seen everything, and even though he couldn't see the Shinigami, he knew that Minato had summoned him. Nonetheless, he didn't know why Minato was still alive. So he asked himself what the Shinigami did. Therefore, he approached Minato, placed a hand on his shoulder, and whispered a few words. "Minato, let's go back to the village," he said as gently as he could. He was also quite sad. This little creature didn't do anything wrong, and he had died. Minato turned around to try to say something, but he noticed that his son began to move. He thought it was just a case of catalepsy, but then he noticed something. His child's hair started to change to a red color, and his eyes turned red with vertical slit pupils. To say that Minato was scared would be an understatement. He was terrified. He thought that the Kyuubi took possession of the body of his son. So, unconsciously, he dropped Naruto from his hands, and before he touched the ground, Hiruzen caught him. Minato's behavior surprised Hiruzen, who could ask only, "What happened?" Minato turned around as he looked at Naruto with hate. "The Kyuubi took possession of the body of my son, and he killed him. That is no longer my Naruto. He is the Kyuubi." Hiruzen was in shock. He did not believe that something like this had happened. Minato knew he was irrational and that he came to that conclusion very quickly, but all that had happened would not let him think clearly. Hiruzen thought that Minato has been just tired, so he said, "Minato, I think you should rest, and we will see what happened to your son. Don't say such things. That might just be a side effect because you sealed the Kyuubi within your child." Maybe what Hiruzen had said was true, but Minato would not think clearly. He was mad with himself for not doing things properly, mad because his wife died, and it seemed that the Shinigami took her soul rather than his and killed his son in the process. He raised his hand and pointed it at Naruto while saying, "If that's true, why Menma wasn't affected?" This statement took Hiruzen by surprise, and he didn't know how to answer. Therefore, Minato let out a bitter laugh and continued, "I already guessed it, that's not my son, not anymore. The Kyuubi killed him and took possession of his body. If you want to worry about him, fine, do it. But I won't acknowledge that demon as my son. Take him out of here before I do something that I might regret." He wanted to kill him immediately, but if he did it, all would be in vain. The Kyuubi would be reborn again, and the masked man could catch him at that right moment, or even worse, the Kyuubi could go into the body of his other son to possess him as he did with Naruto. He turned around while taking Menma with him. After that, he looked to the front and faced Hiruzen. "Gather the council, I have to tell them what happened here, and we have to see what we'll do with the demon. But remember, he's not my son," Minato menacingly said and disappeared in a yellow flash. Hiruzen, who had the child in his arms, saw him peacefully sleeping. So he gave him a loving look and thought, "I hope that your foolishness doesn't cause regrets in the future. Especially for you, Minato." Council chamber. 10 hours later, many people had been gathered in the council chamber. There were the clan leaders of the village. The Hyuga, Nara, Uchiha, Akimichi, Aburame, Inuzuka, Sarutobi and Yamanaka, with their respective main heads. Besides there were the elders, Danzo Shimura, Hamura Midokado and Koharu Udatane and several civilian members. They didn't have any power, and they were only there due to societal pressure. Many of them were murmuring the reason of why the Hokage assembled them while the others waited for the Hokage to explain the events of yesterday. Suddenly the council doors opened, and all the conversation ceased. The Yondaime Hokage, who had a scowl, entered the council's room and sat in his seat. He looked to the front and saw that everyone had confused expressions on their faces, so he decided to speak. "As you already knew, yesterday was the most terrible day in our village. The Kyuubi attacked us, and it caused severe damage to our village, as well as innumerable civilian casualties and shinobi alike," he calmly said. Then he proceeded to tell everything that happened yesterday to his council, but omitting a few things, like the masked man who attacked him, the fact that he sealed the power of the Kyuubi inside his son Menma. And of course, the fact that Naruto was his son, but not that he had sealed the Kyuubi inside him. At the end of his tale, the civilian council members, together with some people of the shinobi council, clamored for the demon child's head before he lost control and killed everybody in the village. But before things got out of control, someone else spoke. "Poor fools," said someone in the room. Everybody got silent and saw Danzo standing up from his seat. Many asked themselves what he had in mind, but Minato and Hiruzen knew what he wanted to do, so he continued. "Do you not understand? We could make of this child the greatest weapon that Konoha could have ever made. With my training, he will protect this village, and he will not be able to oppose to us." He murmured, and was about to continue, but Hiruzen decided to speak before he could. Danzo, we understand what you mean, but he is just a baby, we cannot consider him a weapon. We should just let him have a quiet life, and when he is old enough to enter the academy, we could send him there, and when he is ready, he will protect this village as a Konoha shinobi, not as a weapon. Hiruzen ended. Minato wanted to give Danzo the demon child, but he knew that he would use him as his personal weapon only, and that was something that he wouldn't accept. All his efforts and Kushina's sacrifice would be in vain. Then he took the floor and said, Sandaime-sama is correct. We cannot consider him as a weapon, at least not yet. Therefore, since the child has no parents, I will put him in an orphanage, and the people from there will take care of him. Besides that, nobody can adopt him. I don't want that any one of you have him in your clan and want to consider him as a weapon too. This meeting is over, dismiss. Minato ended. He just wanted to stick a kunai in the demon's head, but he could not do it. He would have to endure his hatred for the sake of the village. With a high Hokage-sama, the members began to withdraw, except for Hiruzen and Minato. The first one gave his Hokage a sad look. You know very well that the words spoken here will expand throughout the village, Minato, and in no time, everyone will know that he is the container of the Kyuubi. You should, but before he could continue, Minato hit his desk abruptly as he spoke. He is not the container. He's the damn demon fox that took possession of the body of my son. I should have killed him, but I cannot ignore the sacrifices of my son and Kushina. If the people of the village want to do something to him, fine then, I don't care. That demon won't die so easily. He won't want to leave this place too soon. Send one of your personal ANBU if you want to protect him, but it cannot be more than one. He ended with a look of hatred, but not towards Hiruzen. Hiruzen just sighed and turned around. Fine, but I hope you don't regret this decision in the future, he said, and then Hiruzen left the room as he called one of his ANBU to protect the child. Meanwhile, Minato was still in the room with some thoughts. That damn demon, someday, I will discover how I can get rid of you so that you can't come back to live again. And when that day comes, I will personally kill you. Then he stood up and disappeared in a yellow flash to go home. He still had a son whom he had to care for, and he could not fail this time. 5 years later, October 10th, a 5-year-old boy with reddish hair and whisker marks on his cheek, who looked rather scrawny, was walking through the streets of Konoha as he asked himself, what did I do? Why do the people hate me so much? Why do they always have to hit me on my birthday? Why no one wants to recognize me? This boy was Naruto. He didn't have a surname, but he still was happy to have a name. He wondered if his parents also hated him, and if they just gave him a name to disappear later. He was tired of this village. He promised that one day he would make pay to each one of the inhabitants. No one showed compassion for him, so, if he were to become stronger, he would not show any sympathy for these vile people. So he continued walking around the village, taking care not to run into drunks that abounded this day, or he would pay it dearly. He was hungry. The people from the orphanage had expelled him 2 years ago, and he only ate what was among the garbage from the restaurants and food stalls. He just wanted to have an ordinary birthday, damn it. Like those he saw the other kids having in the orphanage. However, they never celebrated one for him. They had always said, "Stupid demon, you don't deserve anything." Then they always ended up hitting him and giving him tiny portions of food. So after leaving the orphanage, he tried to steal some food to soothe his stomach a bit. Nevertheless, when the people saw him doing that, they beat him until they were satisfied, but it was well worth it if he could calm his stomach a little bit. He would be dead by now if it weren't for a supernatural being that lived within his body, but he was not aware of him, at least not yet. He was so deep in his thoughts that he didn't realize that he entered an area where people were celebrating the victory of their beloved Yondaime Hokage against the Kyuubi. One of those who were there noticed his presence and said, "Look what we have here, it's none other than the demon brat. I guess he came here to finish what he couldn't 5 years ago." They always told him that, but he didn't understand why they said that. The others who were with the man turned around and looked at Naruto with looks of hatred and malice. One of them said, "Today we'll get rid of this demon and become the heroes of this village." After saying that, he pulled a knife out and another group approached them as they surrounded Naruto, who panicked. What are they going to do to me? Naruto asked himself. He had to run away from them and hide in one of his hiding spots. He was able to sneak away from them and started to run. However, these men would not let him get away that easily, so everybody began to chase him. It was like a mob of 20 people who were pursuing him with all their speed. Naruto cursed himself. If he had been stronger. If he would have had more power. He thought that he should just stop running and die at last. After all, if this were all his life was going to be, maybe he should stop trying. He began to shed tears from his eyes as he continued running. However, his legs were tiny and eventually those men would catch him. However, he couldn't surrender this quickly. He needed to keep trying, and that's why he thought the following. I will never surrender. These bastards still have to pay. I only need to run and manage to escape from here. Damn it, I wish I were stronger. He ran so much that he reached one of the training camps of the village, but unfortunately for him, he had stumbled, and the people were finally able to catch him. A man approached him and took him by his neck to say, "Stupid demon, you can't escape now. When we're done with you, we'll be the heroes of this village, and maybe, we'll get paid for killing you." Naruto noticed that the breath of this man smelled like hell. It was obvious that he was drunk, but Naruto could not say anything because the man was grabbing him by his neck vigorously. Then the man threw him to the ground and proceeded to beat him hard. The others approached too since they also wanted to do something to the demon brat. They would not let this man have all the fun, so they started to kick him, throw stones at him, and the man who found him began to stab him in his legs. Naruto could do nothing, he was dying. Nevertheless, after a moment, Naruto realized that he now was elsewhere. The place looked like a sewer, and it had several leaks. Besides, he didn't feel any pain in this place except a burning sensation in his eyes. He thought he was in heaven or maybe even hell. Then he heard a grunt, so he approached the place where he heard that noise. When he arrived, he saw an enormous cage with a piece of paper with the word seal, so he got closer to the cage just to hear someone speaking. "We finally meet, brat. I can see that you're having problems," the voice said. It sounded furious, but he realized that the anger was not directed at him. Thus, he approached towards him. "Who are you?" he asked. He wanted to know this thing, whatever it was talking to him, and for once, there wasn't hate in those words. The thing inside there spoke hoarsely. "Who am I? That doesn't matter right now. The only thing that now matters is that you have to survive, brat. If you die, then I would die too," he replied. Naruto looked at him for a moment, but then he crossed his arms as he spoke. Unless you tell me who you are, I won't do anything. Besides, what can I do? Those men caught me, and I'm not strong enough to do something. I don't know what I can do." He finished clenching his fists. The Kyuubi growled and looked at him. "Fine then, I am the Kyuubi no Yoko, but before you start with your questions, we need to survive. Don't worry about your wounds, I'll take care of that. You only have to take care of these bastards. I know that you'll come up with something, I'm sure of it." He ended with a smile, but Naruto couldn't have seen it since he was behind the bars and it was quite dark back there. He was surprised that he was the Kyuubi. He thought that the yondaime had killed him, maybe he lived inside him, and maybe that was the reason for the hate towards him. However, it was not the time for questions. He had to survive first, and after that, he could ask all the questions he wanted. "Okay, can you do something?" he asked. He also wanted to survive. He had to make everyone in this stupid village pay, every one of them. The Kyuubi looked at him and nodded. "Don't worry, I have everything covered." After that, Naruto disappeared from his mindscape and reawakened when most of the men had stopped hitting him. Many of them had satisfied looks on their faces. But everything changed when they heard a growl coming from Naruto, so they turned around, and one of them said, "Well, it seems the demon won't give up. I think we should kill him conclusively." At the end of his speech, he pulled a knife out and proceeded to try to stab him in his heart. He approached him, and he noticed some disturbing things. First, that his eyes were not reddish anymore. Rather, they were purple with a ripple-like pattern, while a red cloak began to surround him, healing his wounds very fast. The man was scared. He tried to run away, but it was too late. Naruto stood up with a big grunt. All he wanted to do was to make these people, who had caused him so much pain, disappear. He didn't know what he was doing. He was not aware of his actions. He heard a few words in his mind and repeated them only. "Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push." Saying those words, things happened quickly. All those people were thrown and were crushed by a massive force. They could do nothing and all of them ended up dead. After that, Naruto fainted while his eyes returned to normal, and while he rested in the center of the crater he made. Meanwhile, someone inside him smiled satisfactorily. "This will be interesting for both of us, Naruto." He ended up with a wicked smile. In the distance, a man who was wearing a black robe and an unconventional mask had observed everything that had happened very carefully. Therefore, he thought, I must inform Danzo-sama about this. Then he disappeared in a puff of smoke. He left Naruto in that crater. The place was well away from the suburbs, and people would take long to find him. Hence, after he informed his master about what he saw, he would calmly pick him up from there. Route HQ minutes later. "So that's what happened, Torian," Danzo said as he stared at one of his most loyal members who was kneeling before him. "And I guess that you've completed the other mission I've assigned you," Danzo stated while his only visible eye narrowed dangerously. Torian, who knew the character of his leader about failed missions, continued, "Hi, Danzo-sama. The ANBU assigned to protect Naruto by the Sandaime never noticed anything. Besides, I took care of his ninja equipment." Torian finished, not wanting to wake the fury of his leader. Danzo looked up again and then turned around to leave the room. However, he then turned his head to look at Torian and finished, "So, go and bring Naruto-kun here. We don't want anyone else find him and think that something's wrong with our little weapon." Danzo then left the room with a smile on his face. Excellent. He can use the power of the Kyuubi after all, and it seems more than I had thought. to crush so many people with just chakra. Haha, stupid Minato, you can fool the rest of the population, but not me. Your little Menma may have almost all the power of the Kyuubi, but without the consciousness of the Kyuubi, it will be impossible for him to control so much power. You only made things easier for me. However, now I just have to take care of Naruto-kun and then erase his pathetic emotions. Danzo thought as he imagined himself as the next Hokage. Naruto's mindscape 5 hours later. Naruto had woken up in the same place than before. He thought that everything that had happened was just a nightmare, but it was indeed reality. However, now it was the time to ask the questions and get the answers. Maybe something good could come of this meeting. With that in mind, Naruto walked across the complicated halls of his subconscious until he reached the place where the huge cage was, and before he could say something, he heard another voice. So we survived. To be honest, I didn't believe that you'd be able to perform such carnage. There's no doubt those eyes of yours are something to be scared of, the Kyuubi stated lazily. He realized that Naruto approached and stopped in front of his cage as he spoke. What are you talking about? I don't remember anything about what happened after being here, and what about my eyes? To be honest, he had no idea what the Kyuubi meant. Carnage? His eyes? The Kyuubi should start answering his questions. He was exhausted. The Kyuubi only laughed at the anxiety of his container, and then he began to talk. It seems that you can't remember the time when you crushed those fucking bastards. My guess would be because that you were in a state of shock, and that's why you can't remember anything, but don't worry about that. You can do that again later on. And about your eyes, the Kyuubi replied as he waited for a second to give more drama. You have the eyes of my father. I can only say that he called them the Rinnegan. I don't know much about them. You will have to discover on your own what your eyes can do. I just know that those eyes can create things out of nothing and give consciousness to said things, but that's still out of your league, brat. The Kyuubi stated as he waited for his container to ask him something else, and he didn't disappoint him. What the hell? Do you have a father? And I have the Rinnegan, brat. The Kyuubi corrected, and Naruto continued. Yeah, whatever, Rinnegan. So, are you saying that I can make things out of nothing and that I just have to find out what else I can do? Naruto asked. The Kyuubi nodded, and Naruto stated, this is fucking great. With these eyes, I can do what I always wanted, get revenge on this stupid village and be the strongest of all. But coming back to the case, I can't see anything different in my eyes. He had seen his eyes the whole time in the reflection of the water, and he could clearly see his red eyes. The Kyuubi spoke again to soothe to his container. That's because you have them turned off right now. First, you need to learn how to use your chakra correctly. Then you will need to channel your chakra into your eyes, and when you do that, you will have your Rinnegan turned on. You need training, brat, and unfortunately, I can't give you that. You will have to find help from someone else. Naruto, upon hearing this, instantly felt deflated. Who the hell would help him in this place? After all, he was just the demon brat. However, he decided to put this problem aside for now. He would solve that problem later, so he asked more questions. Now seriously, can you tell me why you are not dead? And how did you end up in my body? That was what he thought from the first moment that he told him that he was the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi let out a sigh and looked at Naruto. Well, first of all, I am a being composed only of chakra. I can't be killed. I will just disappear and reborn elsewhere after a certain amount of time. All that your pathetic father could do to stop me was seal my consciousness within you, and the rest of my power inside your little brother, or that was what he thought. Naruto was confused again, and this time even more than before. Wait. Did he say that he has a father and a brother? Oh no. He didn't mean that, right? Damn, he did. The Kyuubi, seeing the expression of realization on his container, could only chuckle and add, little Nigen, human. Haha, I'm surprised that you didn't notice this a long time ago. The people of this village may be stupid, but I thought you would be different. You are the spitting image of the Yondaime, and his stupid bastard son. You just suffered a few changes because you have my consciousness, and so little of my power. The Kyuubi stated, waiting for the outburst of his container, but after a few moments nothing happened. He carefully looked at him, and realized that he was completely still. I think I broke him. The Kyuubi thought. He didn't see anything wrong with saying something like that. Therefore, he patiently waited until his container softly spoke. So, is the Yondaime Hokage my father and the little prince my brother? The Kyuubi raised an eyebrow in confusion. I thought I made it clear. But then Naruto burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, great. Now I have better reasons to kill that bastard. I don't care what his motives were for abandoning me or why he did what he did, that's the past. Now I have to find someone who can offer me training and do whatever he tells me. At least for a while, until that person is no longer useful to me, but I still have some questions. Tell me, why did you attack this village, and why the hell are you so small? I thought you were the size of a mountain. Naruto asked. Now that he could see behind those bars, he asked himself why he was so small. However, the Kyuubi didn't take the last question very comfortably. He furiously growled, stupid brat, watch your mouth. Small or not, I can still kill you easily, and I am of this size because your bastard daddy sealed a tiny part of my power and my consciousness only. Regarding your other question, I'm not sure what happened. Your mother, my previous Jinchuriki, was about to give birth. I took that opportunity to escape. Don't get me wrong, I didn't attack this village because I wanted to. I just wanted to get out of here and get away as much as possible from the damned humans. I didn't want to be sealed again, but then I'm not sure what happened. I managed to escape, but then, all I could see were those damn eyes and a chakra as despicable as of Madara Uchiha. Then your father sealed me and now I'm here talking to you. Naruto understood almost everything. Hopefully, his mother wasn't like his fucking father. It would never hurt him to know that, at least, his mother didn't hate him. Nonetheless, he would ask more about his mother later. Thus, he asked again, what do you mean by damn eyes? The Kyuubi replied, it's a Dojutsu like yours. The Sharingan, they descended from the Rikudo Sennin, the creator of the ninja world, my father. But I will not give you history lessons. So if you want to know more about him, you will have to ask someone else, brat. The Kyuubi stated. He was tired. He just wanted the interrogation to end. He was still tired, even after 6 years, and he still needed, at least, 2 more years to be fully recovered. However, Naruto then said something that made him maliciously smile. So, we just have to take your power back, and then we can destroy the village. It will take years, but it will be worth it, or do you not agree with this, Kyuubi? Now he had more opportunities than before. It seemed that the fate was on his side for once in his life. The Kyuubi could only smile. It seems that we'll get along, brat. Naruto nodded and then looked around as he analyzed the place. He couldn't have an ally living in a place like this. The Kyuubi raised an eyebrow, curious on what Naruto was planning to do. But then he saw something that surprised him. The sewers had changed to a current Konoha. Surprisingly, it was accurate in every way. He realized that he grew a lot too and that they were on the Hokage Rock. He confusingly looked at his container, who spoke. Consider this as a part of my payment for helping me in the future. I memorized every street in this village because someday it could be beneficial to me. I could also increase your size. I didn't believe that it could be possible, but I think it's because you are in my mind. Now it only depends on you to add anyone you want to this place. I believe you have enough power to do that. I will leave now. Have a nice day, Kyuubi. Naruto stated, and the Kyuubi quickly got out of his shock to call him. Wait. My name is Kurama, brat. It was nice to meet you. Naruto nodded and began to disappear. We'll talk later, Kurama. Goodbye. Then Naruto disappeared from his mind. The Kyuubi had a big smile on his face, and then he set out to try out what Naruto said. I can add anyone to this place, huh? Kurama asked himself, and to prove his point, 2 men appeared each in different ways. The first one appeared in a yellow flash, and the other one in a swirled distortion. The first one said, Stop right there, Demon Fox. You won't cause any more havoc in my village. I will defend it as the Hokage, and I'll take care of you. While the other one continued, Oh my little pet, you were able to escape, but don't worry, you'll be under my control as you always have been. The Kyuubi could not help but smile and mentally stated, I love my Jinchuriki. 5 hours later, Root HQ, Naruto began to move again. He was completely healed from the wounds that those men had caused him. He noticed that he wasn't in the same place that he was hours earlier. Now he was in a windowless room, with a small table beside the bed. There was a plate of cookies and a glass of milk, so he shrugged and gobbled them. If someone had put them there, they were to be eaten, right? He was also starving, so he didn't care about it. He then leaned back in the bed, which was very comfortable. Naruto still remembered all that he had spoken with Kurama, but he also asked himself where the hell he was. He got out of bed to try to open the door, but it was locked, so he softly cursed and waited for someone to come and open the damn door. He didn't wait too long because a really old-looking man with a walking cane did it. He had black, shaggy hair, and his right eye was bandaged. He wore a white shirt, with a black or dark gray robe over the top of it covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. He also had a blank expression on his face. Naruto could not see nor feel anything from this man, no hatred or killing intent. Nothing, he could only see a blank expression. He looked at him for a few seconds and then Naruto asked, Who are you and what am I doing in this place? He did not know who this man was or what he wanted from him. So he decided to wait until the man decided to talk. After a few seconds, he replied, My name is Danzo Shimura, Naruto-kun, and you are here because I have seen that you are someone very promising. I can see in your eyes that you want the power, and I can give you that. With my training, you will be one of the strongest people in this village and my personal weapon. He mentally added the latter, not wanting to scare him and ruin everything. Naruto looked at him for a few seconds and asked, Well, you seem to know the demon brat. But why do you want to train me? What do you really want? Danzo was surprised. This child was brilliant, and he didn't doubt that he would be one of his best agents. Therefore, he answered, Please don't compare me with those silly villagers, Naruto-kun. I was always aware of your potential, but unfortunately, our beloved Yondaime never allowed me to get near you. But the events of a few hours ago helped me to approach to you, Naruto-kun. I can train you. I can make you one of the strongest shinobi that this village has ever produced, and what do I want? I just want to make you strong enough to protect this village with all your strength. Danzo finished and stretched his hand out to Naruto. Naruto meanwhile was thinking about this. Ha! Protect the village? PFF, but this is an excellent opportunity. I will only say that I agree. He doesn't need to know anything more. I'll receive his training, and when I'm ready, I will leave this place. With a big smile, Naruto shook hand with Danzo, waiting for his training as he followed Danzo through the halls of the place. If they provided him training and food, he would not complain. Danzo, on the other hand, was euphoric and had his thoughts. Yeez! Just wait a few more years, Minato, and the Hokage position will be mine. Yes, Danzo had his own plans. Root HQ 3 years later, an 8-year-old boy, who approximately had 126 centimeters, wore a black ANBU outfit and an Oni mask of the same color, was quietly whistling atop a pile of Root members. Some of them were unconscious, and other ones had severe injuries. After a few seconds, Danzo appeared from a room with a disapproving look on his face. Oni, I explicitly told you not to use that style with Root members, he stated, now in full sight. Naruto turned around and let out a sigh as he replied. Hey, don't blame me. I just wanted to try and see if I could use this style again without killing anybody, and I haven't used my kenjutsu. If I have done it, you wouldn't have a pile of unconscious people, but rather you will have parts of their bodies. The Bankurisha, Bone Crusher, was terrible. At first, it was only taijutsu, which focused on attacking and breaking the bones of the opponent, where the weaker bones were, and this was extremely easy for him because of his unique flexibility. After a while, he thought of combining that style with kenjutsu, and adding futon or raitan to his kenjutsu made him very deadly. Danzo was not sure if he could block one of these attacks and emerge uninjured. Anyone who would dare to have a taijutsu or kenjutsu combat against this child would be dead. It was better to keep the distance. Danzo shook his head and spoke again. Okay, maybe you're right, but remember not to use that style in the Root ever again. Now follow me, I have an important mission for you. Danzo turned around and walked away. Naruto could not help smiling. This old fool could not apply his stupid seal on him, nor break him mentally. He owed Kurama a lot because of that. He still remembered how Danzo wanted to apply the seal to him 2 years ago. Flashback 2 years ago, Naruto was training with the Justice of Futon and Raitan that Danzo had provided him. Who would have thought it? It seemed that the Rinnegan gave him the ability to use the 5 elements of chakra, which was a big surprise for him and especially for Danzo, who at this time was heading to where Naruto was. Naruto felt his presence, and he quickly stopped everything he was doing. What can I do for you, Danzo-sama? He politely asked as he turned round. He still needed the help of this old man. He was not strong enough to carry out his plans yet. He had to wait. Danzo hated that. How could he detect him? He was not a censor, and besides that, Danzo suppressed his chakra as he could to make it harder for him. However, he always did it. Perhaps he was a censor, and if that were the case, then he could exploit that ability. It would be useful for Danzo in the future. Danzo left his thoughts for later and replied, Naruto-kun, I want you to come with me. I have something to give you. Naruto shrugged and followed him. Perhaps he would now give him some Doton jutsu since he needed some of them. They quickly arrived in a room filled by Root members. All of them were kneeling before their leader. Poor fools. He asked himself what the hell those freaks were doing here. Nevertheless, he continued following Danzo until they stopped right in front of a desk. Danzo pulled a scroll out and wrote something with his blood. After that, he put it back into the desk and talked. We are gathered here today because we have a new member among us. A member that I'm sure everyone has heard of, the kid with the 5 elements, Naruto. Danzo said. Many members upon hearing this began to whisper, but a single look from Danzo stopped all the whispers. Then he proceeded to talk again. Naruto, your joining into our organization is unprecedented since its founding. Since you seem not to value the ties, I see that it is unnecessary to put you under the special training, and since you have accomplished the assigned missions without opposition and failure, I officially declare you as a Root. Naruto didn't know what the hell was going on. That amount of people just for this? And what the hell? He thought that he had been a Root member since a long time ago. It seemed that he was wrong. Therefore, Naruto shrugged and replied, Thanks, Danzo-sama. Then Danzo continued to speak. From now on, your codename will be Oni. After that, he gave Naruto a black ANBU outfit and a mask. Naruto thought that was all, but Danzo beckoned him to come closer, and so he did. Oni, please stick your tongue out. Danzo asked, and Naruto thought that it was weird. What the hell does he want to do with my tongue? Naruto asked himself, but then he thought that there was nothing wrong with it, so he did it. Danzo then proceeded to touch the center of his tongue with the tip of his index finger as he spoke. It's done, everybody, dismiss. With a hi Danzo-sama, Everyone in the room withdrew, and only Danzo remained in the room. Now I'll have complete control over you, Naruto, haha, and you won't be able to do anything about it. Danzo thought as he left. Meanwhile, Naruto was having a conversation with Kurama. Hey, Kurama. Do you know what the hell the old man was trying to do? What did he want? Kurama growled and answered, yes, I know. He wanted to put a seal on you, to control you with it in case if you would ever go against him. But don't worry, I took care of that after you left the room. Never again people will control to the great Kyuubi no Yoko, and I hope you don't let that happen to you again. Naruto frowned and mentally answered, you know very well that no one controls us. The old fool thought that now I would be mentally broken after all the torture that I had to go through, but I must thank you. Without you, I would be like one of those stupid freaks of this place. But I also have to thank that old man, those tortures helped me to strengthen my body, and now I can hardly feel any pain. To be honest, he hated Danzo's training sessions. Danzo was quite sadistic, but after a while, he had suddenly stopped. It seemed he got tired of trying to break Naruto physically and mentally, and now he attempted to control him in another way. Too bad for him, nothing he tried could control him. After that, Naruto went to a training camp. He still had to master his Rinnegan techniques, especially those which involved gravity. He already knew some of them, but the cooldown of his Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push, and Bansho Tenin, Universal Pull, was far too long. He needed to find some way to reduce the time. 30 minutes was too much, and it would not help him in a difficult situation if he already used his shot. Then he went to meditate for a few hours before trying to move objects with his gravity element. Flashback end. Naruto couldn't help smiling when Danzo found out that he didn't have the seal. He attempted to put it on him again like 8 times, all with the same results, and then he had stopped trying. He always kept that expressionless face, but Naruto knew that he was boiling inside and complaining that he couldn't control his little weapon. Haha, fucking idiot, nobody controls Naruto. Maybe the old man finally noticed it and stopped trying to control him. Naruto left his thoughts when he realized that he was in the same room when he became a member of the Root, while Danzo turned around and spoke. Oni, I will assign you a mission. It will be paramount. Failure is not an option. Due to your record on missions, and you completed them without any inconveniences, I will give it to you. Stealth will be the key on this, and being detected is not an option. If they do well, just avoid being caught and don't leave any clues that you were there, do you understand? Danzo asked. Naruto was not sure what the mission was, but at least, they were never stupid one, and he could always kill someone. Then Naruto replied, understood, but what is the mission? Danzo looked at him for a few seconds before answering, the extermination the Uchiha clan. Naruto's eyes widened behind his mask. He asked himself if Danzo was talking seriously. Of course he did. This old fool never talked nonsense. Then Naruto rushed to ask, why do we need to exterminate the Uchiha clan? I thought that those damn almighty arrogant guys were the greatest strength of the village, and you always said that you must have the best of the best. Even though I hate to admit it, these copycats are really good. Naruto said, waiting for Danzo's response. Danzo at this hit the floor with his cane and replied, that's because the Uchihas are planning a coup. They want to overthrow the Hokage and take control of the village, and we cannot allow that. The Hokage already tried to find another exit, but eventually, he concluded that my solution would be more effective. You have the permission of the Hokage. Although someone else was initially assigned to this mission, we decided to distract him with another mission. This man is someone of great talent, and we cannot afford to lose someone like him. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. He wondered who could it be until a person came to his mind. After a while, he decided to talk again. Uchiha Itachi? In the Root, everyone knew about him. That bastard was quite famous. Danzo once again had hit the floor with his cane to attract Naruto's attention and replied, yes, Uchiha Itachi. His contributions to the village and his power are something that we cannot deny, nor can we afford to lose. Don't worry about him. He will not return to the village for 2 weeks, and when he comes back, it will be too late. So this mission will be appropriate for you. Nobody is stealthier than you are, so I'm sure that you can perform this task without problems. Your mission starts in 2 days at 5 in the afternoon. You will have a time of 3 hours to complete the mission. This is an SS rank mission. If you fail, or if someone discovers you, it will cost you your head. Don't underestimate to the Uchiha. If you have a chance to kill, do it. Remember, don't leave anyone alive. Then Danzo gave a scroll with the parameters of the mission to Naruto, who quickly read it and then burned it. Danzo nodded and then he proceeded to leave the room, but he stopped and added, you are important to the Root, Oni. Don't fail this mission. I know you can do it. After that, he left the room leaving only to Naruto, who had a dark grin on his face. However, after that, he started talking to his tenant who now would be jumping for joy. Old fool, you are important for the Root. TCH, just because you can't control me, you want me to have an emotional attachment to you. Anyway, did you hear that, Kurama? Naruto mentally asked, and Kurama replied, brat, you are truly lucky. To have the privilege of destroying that damn clan, now I can say that I envy you. At least, I will be able to see all this slaughter," Kurama said with a big dark smile on his face as he crushed some people in the Konoha of Naruto's mindscape. Then he continued, "Now go and get ready, brat. Keep everything ready for this great mission of yours, and don't fail. We still have many things to do in this filthy village before we can leave." Naruto growled in annoyance, "Who the hell do you think I am? I don't know the meaning of failure, and I won't learn it just for killing some copycats. Trust me, I won't fail this. This will be easy. These Uchiha have a lot of confidence in their eyes, but before they can activate their almighty eyes, they will already be dead, and a few clones can always help. But I get a terrible headache when I use them with my Rinnegan," Naruto said as he unconsciously rubbed his forehead while Kurama growled his reply. "Don't get stupid now. You know very well that when you use your shadow clones with your Rinnegan, they share their field of vision with you, so I think that's what it gives you a headache, and that's something that you have to fix," Kurama replied. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Why do you have to be so serious all the time? Anyhow, let's put that aside, we must prepare ourselves for this mission." Naruto ended while he proceeded to prepare himself for his great mission. 2 days later, 4:50 p.m. Naruto was well hidden in the Uchiha compound. He had suppressed his chakra so even the best sensor could not detect him. He wore the standard A and B uniform, consisting of black clothing, a gray flak jacket, metal arm guards and gloves, ninja sandals and a Japanese katana of approximately 55 centimeters tied on his back. He was quietly watching the Uchiha entering into their compound when he thought, "It's show time." Hokage Tower 2 hours before the massacre, Minato Namikaze was sitting behind his desk, signing a stack of papers. He had a lot to think, especially about what would happen within 2 hours. He stopped when he heard a knock on his door and said, "Come in." When the door opened, Danzo Shimura made his presence known. Bowing slightly, he spoke, "Hello, Hokage-sama. You have called me, might I know the reason for this little meeting?" He calmly spoke as he sat down in a chair in front of Minato's desk. Minato stared at him for a few seconds until he made a signal and his ANBU left the room. He then placed a privacy seal and spoke, "Danzo, you know very well why I've called you. I agreed with the extermination of the Uchiha clan only because we would keep Itachi in the village. You offered to send your route, but you haven't given me any information on how many members you commanded on this task, and how they will operate. You know very well that all this must be done in the most discreet manner as possible so that the authorities of the village don't get suspicious." Danzo listened carefully to each of his words and then he showed a half-smile. "Hokage-sama, I've only sent one of my route, and I can assure you that this agent is one of the best that I have. Besides, let me tell you that I trained him," Danzo replied with a bit of pride in his words. Minato raised an eyebrow at this. "Just one? Tell me the identity of this man that you say that is so skilled." Minato thought that it was very strange that Danzo would do this kind of thing. He always took care of sending a good amount of his route on the most challenging missions. Danzo smiled and replied, "Come on, Hokage-sama. You have given me the most difficult missions to assign them to this agent, and let me tell you that he has always returned. I think you know who I'm talking about." Minato upon hearing this opened his eyes in shock and clenched his fists tightly. The damn demon, he thought. Danzo was playing with fire, and Minato knew that he was aware of it. However, Danzo continued talking. "Don't worry, Hokage-sama, Oni won't fail this mission. I won't be any different from the other missions that he has been on. You can put your trust in him." Danzo looked at Minato, waiting for him to say something. But what he had said next caught him off guard. "Danzo, I've allowed you to keep that kid just because I hoped that you would be able to eliminate his emotions and keep him under control, but I've realized that this didn't happen. Moreover, he has turned into someone quite violent. That's why I'll take him out of route when this mission is over," Minato stated, and Danzo quickly thought of something to say. "Hokage-sama, if I may. I'm training this kid to be the defender of the village. You cannot take him out of route." "What will he do?" "You know very well that he will go crazy if we don't give him missions. Besides, are you thinking of sending him to the academy?" "That would not be appropriate, Hokage-sama," Danzo objected. He mentally cursed Minato, always trying to mess up his plans. Minato thought about this for a moment and then replied, "Yes, that's what I'm going to do. We need him as a defender, but we can't make him too powerful, it won't be wise. If he has any problems with this, I'll put him in the lowest levels of the ANBU prison, and he will never see the daylight again. Now get out of my sight, or perhaps do you want to discuss what the Sandaime-sama had said to you about route? I can stop everything I'm doing now to talk about that issue," Minato threatened. He had to put a stop to Danzo and the demon brat. He would organize all this later, and maybe he could order the demon brat to protect his son if someone tried to attack him. He knew that those stupid of IWA wanted to do something, but he still could not prove anything. He just had to wait. Danzo quietly got up from his seat, but in his mind, he only wanted to kill the bastard who was in front of him. Maybe he could try out his new acquisition to order the stupid Yondaime to stab himself. But it was not convenient, not yet. He had something else in mind to use that eye, and he could not use it in this bastard. So again, he turned around without waiting for any order to retreat, and just when he was to get out of the office, Minato spoke again. Danzo, I want you to send the boy here immediately after he finishes his mission. I have a mission for him. I'll personally give it to him, and Danzo, I hope you're not angry with this decision, it's for the sake of the village. Then he told Danzo to get out, and so he did. Danzo left the Hokage Tower to go to the root space as he thought, looks like I'll have to accept Orochimaru's proposal about his invasion plan. It will take years, but that idiot will fall. When that happens, Naruto-kun will be my personal weapon, and then he won't oppose to me. Danzo chuckled with a dark smile on his face. Meanwhile, Minato was mentally cursing Danzo. That idiot! He knew that I would accuse his root of treason after finishing that mission. But he sends the demon brat. He knows that I can't kill him, or I would have problems. How didn't I see this before? Damn you, Danzo, and damn you too, demon brat. With that thought, Minato let out a big sigh as he saw the stack of papers, so he thought again, sometimes I wonder why I took this job. Then he continued with his obligations. Konohagakure no Sato Ninja Academy. A kid with blue eyes and spiky blonde hair was arguing with a child who had onyx eyes and black hair. I'm telling you, Sasuke. My father is the most brilliant man in the world. There is no one stronger than he is, said the child. Now, the boy identified as Sasuke, replied, Menma. My father is the chief of the village's police. Besides that, he is the head of the Uchiha clan. The now identified as Menma growled, so? My father is the Hokage, and he doesn't come from any prestigious clan, but he's stronger than anyone in your clan. He crossed his arms with a triumphant smile on his face. Sasuke also growled and answered, Oh really? Well, Itachi and I will surpass your father in a few years, and then I'll do it. He would be the next candidate for the Hokage title if you didn't know. Menma was about to add something, but someone else shouted, using the infamous big head no jutsu. Silence! The class teacher Yumino Irika, a Chunin that had lost his parents in the Kyuubi's attack, yelled. Both kids instantly stopped while they looked at their sensei, sweating heavily. Sorry, Irika-sensei. We didn't mean to talk so loudly, you know. But the team usually gets on my nerves. So I couldn't control myself. Menma said. Sasuke glared at him and replied, You're the team, team. Irika shook his head and shouted again, Enough is enough. Very well, class, we'll do some exercises outside. After saying that, he made a sign to the class to get up and follow him. Sasuke and Menma looked and smiled at each other. They waited until everyone was out and Menma was the first one to speak. Well, I didn't believe that it would work, these history classes are boring. We should be practicing kunai throwing and maybe some sparring, but my Oto-san doesn't want to train me yet. He says that I have to live my childhood. I have to do everything by myself. Menma finished with a pout on his face and crossing his arms, and then Sasuke spoke, I understand you, my Oto-san didn't want to teach me before, but I think he changed his mind because yesterday he was supervising my training with my Katon Jutsu. Sasuke said with a big smile. Menma looked at him and said, Seriously? You're lucky, I only hope that my Oto-san also teaches me some jutsus, but he says that I am not ready. But hey, let's go before Irika-sensei gets angry again. With that said, both left the class to practice with kunai. With Naruto time of the massacre, it's show time! Naruto thought as he put on a fox-shaped mask to cover his face. Besides that, he was using a hinge to make himself look like a taller person. He jumped over one of the roofs of the compound and thought, Are you ready, Kurama? He knew that his tenant was awake for this. Kurama growled and answered, More than ready, I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world. Naruto smiled at this and stated, Well, too bad. You know? I suddenly had an attack of moral, and my moral and sense of honor tell me that this is wrong. So, I won't do it, Naruto said with a severe expression on his face. There was silence for a few seconds and then Naruto could hear laughs in his mind. Ha ha ha. You. Moral and sense of honor? Ha. I didn't think you would be so funny. But hey. It was amusing, brat. Kurama said as he wiped a small tear from his eye. Naruto smiled. Well, you know me, honor and morals are for the samurais, and I'm not a fucking samurai. Okay, it's time to get serious. I have something to show you. Do you remember when you told me about your father, and that he can create things from nothing and give them consciousness? Kurama nodded, and Naruto proceeded, Well, I can't do that yet, it's fucking hard, but I can do something similar. At first, I had no idea I could do something like this, but then, when the idiot of Danzo showed me the hand seals for the summoning technique, and when he tried to make me sign one of his contracts without success, I found out that I could summon animals by only imagining them. It's a great skill. Look, I'll show you, this will be our trump card. With that said, Naruto activated his Rinnegan and mentally shouted, Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning jutsu. At the end of his words, a puff of smoke showed up, revealing a little chameleon. Its eyes also had the Rinnegan. Kurama paid attention to it until he decided to ask out of curiosity, "Alright, brat. What are we supposed to do with that little thing? I can see that it has the Rinnegan too. You've said that using clones who have their Rinnegan activated cause you to have a headache since they shared their field of vision. Will you endure it now?" Naruto shook his head and replied, "Yes, but this is different from my clones. I can order my summoning to stop sharing their field of vision with me, and don't underestimate this little creature. This thing can camouflage itself and become undetectable. Besides that, it can be as big as a 2-story house." Kurama now seemed to see the point of it. If they could camouflage themselves and increase their size while they were hiding, they would be a very lethal weapon. And since the Uchiha believed that they were safe in their compound, they would never expect that something like that could be hiding to kill them. Naruto didn't wait more and again made more hand seals, summoning several chameleons. Naruto gave orders to each summon, and they proceeded to sneak in different parts of the Uchiha compound. Naruto watched his work and then went to the police station of the Uchiha clan. Konohagakure no Sato. 3 hours later, Uchiha Sasuke was currently walking quietly through the streets of the village. Iruka had detained him longer today because he and Menma decided to fight again in the training session. It was a little late. The lights illuminated the streets, which had a lot of movement. He asked himself if his Kachan would be mad at him for being late, but it was Menma's fault. He and his foolishness always exasperated him. He entered a street, and then he saw the walls of the Uchiha compound. He was happy because his Nii-san would return in 2 days from his mission, and perhaps he could train with him a little. He arrived at the entrance, and saw that it was very dark. Besides that, the streets were empty. He had a bad feeling, so he ran directly to his house. Maybe everyone was in a clan meeting or something like that, right? With that in mind, he sprinted toward his house. With Naruto. "Who are you, damn it? Show your face, you piece of shit!" A man yelled with his Sharingan spinning furiously. Alongside this man was the body of a woman, with long black hair and a white skin. Her name was Mikoto Uchiha. Fugaku didn't know how all of this had happened. He had been reading the tablet of the Uchiha clan trying to discover its secrets until he had seen enough. After that, he had gone to the police station, seeing dozens of dead bodies everywhere. None of them showed signs of fighting. Therefore, he had concluded that the Hokage found out about his plan to take control of the village, and now he was acting. So he quickly ran to his home, believing that it was not too late. He thought that he could still save his wife and his little son. However, when he arrived at his home, he saw his wife on the floor, apparently killed by the same person who killed the others in the police station, since she showed no signs of fighting. Since he got no answer, he yelled again, "Who the hell are you? Are you a fucking dog of the Hokage? And how the hell did you do all this by yourself?" He suddenly heard a dark laugh coming from the walls. He was not really sure where it was coming from, though. "Not even my Sharingan can see remains of chakra in the room. Who the hell can do something like this?" Fugaku thought. A slightly mature voice answered, "How do you know that I did all this by myself? Are sure that no one else helped me?" Fugaku shook his head and replied, "I have seen the bodies. You have done something to those who were at the police station, and also to my wife. None of them showed signs of fighting or that you have poisoned them. I don't know what the hell you did, but I know you're the one responsible for all this. Now answer me, who the hell sent you here?" Fugaku was calmer now. Maybe if he made him stay longer, the ANBU would arrive and would catch this guy. He was sure that the Hokage sent him to do this, and if they captured him, he would be accused of treason, wily bastard. Once again, the voice spoke derisively, "Oh wow, you are very perceptive, and I thought that the people in the Uchiha clan were a bunch of mindless puppets. I thought that was the reason you guys copied the techniques of other people." Fugaku clenched his fists in anger, extracting some blood of them. The voice continued speaking, "It's okay. I will illuminate your limited brain. I'm a demon who lives in the shadows, a demon that does not distinguish between good and evil, a demon that is here to take revenge against your clan for enslaving my partner." And listen to this, he paused for a few seconds and now spoke with a demonic voice. "I'm not anyone's dog. Much less of that bastard who you call Hokage. I'm just following his orders so that my plans don't get affected, and I do this because I'm returning a favor to my partner." He ended, releasing large amounts of killing intent. Fugaku felt his knees as a pressure forced him to do so. He was breathing hard, and he could swear that he saw his death. Just when he thought that he would die by suffocation, the pressure stopped, and he began to cough due to the lack of air, hearing the voice continuing. "As for who I am," just then, a big chameleon made its appearance while it opened its mouth to reveal a man in a fox-shaped mask and an ANBU battle outfit. "Your worst nightmare, Bancho Tenin, Universal Pull." Listening to the last words, Fugaku felt his body being pulled directly toward that mysterious man who was waiting for him with a strange blade, stabbing him in his right shoulder and throwing him to the floor. Then he felt that the man placed a hand on his head, holding him firmly. In the end, the man uttered, "As for how I did all this, feel honored. Don't take what I did to your clan personally, it's just that you guys enslaved to the wrong demon." Fugaku looked at him and weakly asked, What the hell are you talking about? What demon? We have never enslaved anyone. He was getting weaker, and he was unable to move because that weird blade was restraining his body. Naruto approached to his ear and whispered QB. When he said that, Fugaku opened his eyes in shock. It couldn't be him. He was supposed to be dead. He activated his Sharingan one last time and saw that indeed it was a child who would have been about 8 years old. How could someone so young have killed the entire Uchiha clan? He wanted to say something else, but it was too late. Naruto whispered, Ninjendo, human path, and that was the last thing Fugaku heard before Naruto yanked the soul out of his body and released it into the air. Naruto looked at his body and sighed, done. Hey Kurama, this was fucking easy. Was he supposed to this be the father of Uchiha Itachi? Pathetic. Kurama, who had a big smile on his face, replied, this was the funniest thing I've seen in more than 500 years. Brat, I'm glad that you have been my container. I can't imagine being in the body of a hyperactive idiot shouting that he would be the next Hokage. Upon saying that, both of them felt a shiver running down their backs, and Naruto replied, if that were to happen, I'd kill myself. Kurama smiled, and he was about to add something else. He heard Naruto saying in his mind. Bansho Tenin, universal pull, and a boy, a little smaller than Naruto, was pulled towards him. With Sasuke moments before, Sasuke was now walking around his home. He was scared because his home never had the lights off, and at this time, his mother was always making dinner. He continued walking through the corridors of his house and started whispering, Ka-chan Oto-san, where are you? It's not funny anymore, please stop hiding. He kept walking until he heard a hit on the second floor. He quickly walked upstairs, stumbling over some steps on the way. He came up to the room of his parents and stood there, hearing two people whispering. Therefore, he opened the door slightly and what he saw surprised him. A tall, red-haired man with a mask was holding his father's head. He realized that the man whispered something to his father, and the next thing he saw was his father falling to the floor, apparently dead. He looked sideways and saw his mother lying on the floor, showing no signs of life. Sasuke's face was filled with tears. He let out a small sob, which he quickly covered with his hands. He started running away, but then he felt a strange force drawing him to that man. He panicked. He could do nothing but accept his destiny. Now, Naruto caught the child and quickly put him on the floor. Naruto stared at him as he remembered the description of Itachi's little brother, and that he should let him live, or that he would regret it. Like he was afraid of Danzo's threats. Kurama, should I kill this boy? Naruto mentally asked. Kurama growled and answered, of course you should. A good Uchiha is a dead one. Kill him right now and get out of here. Remember that you can't stay here too long. Soon, the forces of your daddy will arrive, and if they see you, they will catch you. Naruto thought about that a moment, and then decided that he would kill him. Sasuke saw that the man pulled out from his sleeves a strange blade and directed it toward his skull to stab him with it. Sasuke closed his eyes, but after a while, he realized that nothing had happened. He opened his eyes a little and could see that the blade was just millimeters away from his eyes. He pulled himself away quickly not to lose his eye while he asked with fear in his words, WWHOARYU? Why did you do this? He asked again, and this time, he started to cry. Naruto ignored him and mentally spoke again, I think I'll do something else, maybe this kid can give me some fun in the future. Kurama didn't like this and shouted, what the hell are you talking about? Kill him right now, you can't let him live. If he unlocks his damn eyes and discovers how to pass them to the next level, he could control Miyagi. But before he could finish his speech, Naruto interrupted him, enough Kurama. Do you think that I'll be stupid as to allow someone to control you again? I promise you that I wouldn't let anyone else do it again. I may be a bastard, but I keep my promises. You're my only friend, and I won't let that some foolish eyes can take control of you. Besides, I have some better eyes, remember? Kurama was silent for a few seconds, until he let out a big sigh. You're right. Sorry, it's just that I hate those damn eyes, and I didn't think clearly. Do what you have to do while I watch you. With that said, Naruto looked back to the kid who was in front of him, and he hoarsely spoke, you don't need to know who I am. Then he turned Sasuke's body and stabbed 3 of his blades in him, not in his vital points. 2 of them in his legs, 1 in each respective leg, and the other 1 in both of his hands. Sasuke cried out in pain, but then he realized that he was seeing some kind of illusion, where at first he seemed to see some weird eyes staring at him, but it only lasted for a few milliseconds. The next thing he saw was something that would leave a scar on him forever. It was a black and white illusion that it seemed to vibrate. There he saw some huge chameleons catching with their long tongues to his relatives before they could realize what was happening, coiling them until their bones were broken. Then those chameleons proceeded to swallow them. He wanted to do something, anything. But he could only watch. Even if he closed his eyes, he could still see the illusion. He saw the man who had been in front of him, but now he was sneaking into the police station of his clan, catching them and killing them in almost the same way that his father had died, killing them all with relative ease. The Konoha military police force was what made the Uchiha clan so proud, dropping like flies by just one man. Then he saw that the man left the building and walked around the streets that were already empty. He quickly arrived at his house, and Sasuke saw his mother dying in the same way as the others. Sasuke at this point was already in a state of shock, and when he was about to release foam from his mouth, he felt that one of the blades sent him a small electrical jolt, which pulled him out of his shock. Just to see his father talking apparently to nothing, and after a few minutes, the same man appeared, catching Fugaku, in the same way he did with Sasuke and killing him after a few seconds. The illusion then ended, and he saw that the man was now standing in front of him and looking at him while the blades that had been in his body before were now in his hands. If Sasuke could see through that mask, he might have been able to see the face of amusement that Naruto had. But he couldn't, so he just desperately asked, "Why?" Naruto answered, "Because your clan is cursed. If they were still roaming around the world, then they would have brought the end to this world. I just took precautions to prevent that from happening." Sasuke looked at him furiously and yelled, "Well, what are you waiting for? Kill me." Naruto looked at him and shook his head. No, I am giving you a chance to avenge your clan. I'm giving you the opportunity to continue living and to make yourself strong. But listen carefully, you will never be able to defeat me, not in the way you are now. You saw what I did, right? I killed all the people your pathetic clan without even pushing myself. Your pathetic father, the head of this disgusting clan, could do nothing, and he died like the others. Your mother, what can I say? A beauty. Maybe after this I can have some fun with her bod." But before he could finish his sentence, Sasuke stood up angrily and tried to hit him. Naruto dodged it and hit him in the neck, and then he continued speaking, "Yes, this is how you will become strong. Fill your heart with hate and contempt, never trust anyone, kill those who oppose you, train and become strong. But if you have distractions such as friendship and love, you will never be able to defeat me. You will hear from me again when I believe that you are ready and I realize that you are strong enough to face me. Don't love, don't cry, don't feel compassion, there is no honor in us. If you do this, you will be a true shinobi like me. We'll meet again, Sasuke-kun. Goodbye." Then Naruto proceeded to hit Sasuke in his neck and left him unconscious. Naruto then walked out the Uchiha compound, hearing Kurama speaking in his mind, "Wow, you really are the biggest bastard I've ever seen in my entire existence. Heck. Even I might haven't been able to say what you said to that brat. Ha ha ha, I like you more every day, Naruto." Naruto smiled and spoke as he jumped over the houses of the village towards the base of Root. "Wow, you flatter me, Kurama. Surprising you is quite an achievement." "Oh, and what happened? Why am I not a brat anymore?" Naruto asked playfully. Kurama sighed and smiled. "Well, when I saw that kid crying like a baby, I realized that he is a brat, and I just can't put you in the same category as him." Naruto smiled again. He could not avoid being happy. The truth was that he wanted to kill all those Uchihas a long time ago. They supposedly were the police of Konoha, but they never did anything to keep the villagers away when they gave him those terrible beatings. However, now they would no longer be a problem for him, nor for this world or the next one. Now the Shinigami would have to deal with them. He then returned his attention to his way when he noticed that he arrived at Root headquarters, with Danzo waiting at the entrance with his characteristic blank expression. Danzo saw that Naruto had arrived, and 30 minutes before the scheduled time. He carefully looked at him and saw that he didn't wear his traditional mask, but he didn't care about that. He also realized that he didn't have a single drop of blood or injuries on his body, as usual. When Naruto was in front of him, he hit the ground with his cane to get his attention. "I can see that you've completed your mission, Oni. And perfectly, as always." Naruto shrugged. "What can I say? This mission wasn't that hard. It seems that the Uchihas can only fight with their Sharingan. Too bad for them, I didn't allow them to use them. They never realized what happened, only when they were already dead." Naruto replied as if it were nothing. Danzo watched him and thought, maybe Minato is right, he is getting too powerful. Besides, he doesn't care about anything nor anyone. Maybe he will be a threat to the village someday, but I still have an ace up my sleeve, and then I will have him under my control. But it is still too early for that. Minato, I'll let you continue with your stupid plan, and when the time comes. Danzo stopped his line of thought when he realized that Naruto was already leaving, so he quickly called him. "Oni, Hokage-sama has requested your presence in the Hokage Tower. Now is late, but tomorrow morning you have to go there and listen to whatever he has to say." Danzo ended waiting for a response, but he only saw a shrug while Naruto continued his way to the base. Danzo clenched his fists at such behavior, and he thought, damn brat. You'll see, very soon you will show me the respect that I deserve. After that, he also walked into the base. Konohagakure no Sato. The next day, Naruto got up a little later than usual since he had to meet with Hokage-sama. However, he didn't want to see that bastard. With a sigh, he put on his ninja outfit and then headed to the Hokage Tower. According to Danzo, he must go with his full equipment set, with the mask and everything. He did not know why, but he thought it was the best. Maybe he would not recognize him, Naruto was sure that the bastard knew he was his son. He arrived at the tower and entered the building. He saw the secretary and told her that he had a meeting with the Hokage. Thus, he gave her a paper that contained a verification. She told him to wait for a moment, and that she would be back. He waited, and after about 3 minutes, she appeared again saying that the Hokage would receive him. He walked up the stairs, and when he was in front of the office, he knocked on the door. He had never seen this man in person, and he didn't want to do it. After a while he heard her come in, so he entered the office. There was the almighty Yondaime Hokage, the man who defeated to the Kyuubi yes sure, moron, sitting behind a desk and signing some papers. He entered the room and softly spoke, "What can I do for you, Hokage-sama? It's an honor to be in your presence." Naruto then thought, "Damn. Maybe I should devote myself to acting." "Yes, sure." Minato looked up and saw a boy a little taller than his son, with the typical root uniform and an Oni mask. He paid more attention to the mask and thought, "Yes, that mask is perfect for you, damn demon." He pulled away those thoughts and quietly spoke, "I believe you know the reason you're here. We'll talk about the mission that you had yesterday, which involved a clan of the village." Minato got up from his seat to look out the window to his village. He breathed the fresh air and then turned again before continuing. "The truth is that I didn't expect that someone so young would do this mission, and Danzo said that this wouldn't be a problem for you. I had my doubts at first, but after the ANBU had arrived at the compound, they told me that everything was spotless, that there wasn't a single drop of blood around the Uchiha compound. Well, except for Fugaku's house. Could you be kind enough to explain to me how you did all of this without spilling a single drop of blood? They also told me that no one showed signs fighting, Fugaku only. And explain to me, why did you leave the little Sasuke alive?" Minato ended, giving Naruto a signal to talk. Naruto thought about how to get out of this situation. He couldn't say that he extracted the souls of every bastard of that clan and that he had used some of his summonses to make them eat the Uchihas. No, he had to come up with something ingenious, until he thought of something. "I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, but the method I have used is a secret. It's a skill that I've developed over time. We're shinobi, and as you'll know, we keep our best cards under our sleeve. I don't want to talk about this ability of mine. All my work could be exposed if anyone knows how it works. Besides that, we're not alone in this room, and something could leak out from here," Naruto replied. Minato looked at him while he ordered his ANBU to withdraw as he placed the privacy seal. "You're kind of astute, like a real demon," he thought, but continued. "Okay, but why did you leave Sasuke alive? I was told that he had multiple injuries around his body and that he was in a severe state of shock. Explain to me what happened," Minato demanded. To Naruto, this was easier, so he answered. "Well, I let him alive because Danzo informed me that you wanted to keep Itachi Uchiha in the village. I thought the only way that he would do it was if he had someone to take care of in this place. As for the other question, well, I first attacked the young Sasuke because I thought he was someone who was able to escape from me. I detected him just after killing his father. Maybe that was the reason he was in shock. Watching someone of your family dying in front of your eyes must be sorrowful." The latter was uncalled for, and he merely said it to see what kind of reaction the Yondaime would have. He was sure he saw his wife dying in front of his eyes and then he to become later the demon brat. It seems that he didn't take it very well, Naruto thought as he watched his father tensing in his place and clenching his fists tightly, with a look that was much colder than before. Then he heard something that would be imperceptible to any human ear. It sounded like, "You have no idea, and demon." Too bad for him, the advantages of having a demon fox inside you improved the hearing and other senses. He did not care about this, and he just waited for his father to leave his pathetic lament. He did not wait long because he spoke again. "Okay, Danzo informed me that your codename is Oni. Therefore, from now on you're out of route, and you will be reinstated as a citizen of Konoha. In 1 month from now on, you'll have to go to the Ninja Academy. You'll be there until you complete the 4 years of training and then we'll assign you to a team. Do you have any objections?" Naruto meanwhile was thinking about this. So does he want me out of route? From the place where there would always be eyes on me, and where I couldn't properly train with my Rinnegan. And besides that, he is giving me the opportunity to go to the pathetic academy, where I can just leave a shadow clone while I train at one of the training grounds. This man is dumb. I just exterminated a ninja clan, and he wants to send me to a place filled with children. But hey, I have to take this chance. Naruto shook his head and answered, "No, Hokage-sama, I don't have any objections. What's more, I like the idea. Spending so much time en route isn't good for anyone. The place smells terrible, and besides that, you have to deal with a one-eyed old man 24 hours a day." Minato laughed at this until he realized who made him laugh. Wait, have I laughed for what this demon said? Damn it! What's wrong with me? He is the killer of my son! Naruto also noticed this and thought, what happened, daddy? Do you think that your little son is funny? Minato cleared his throat and continued, well, as I was saying, I will return your old identity to you. You just have to sign these papers, and I will give you an apartment where you can live, and the money from your missions. You must return all your gear and never talk to anyone about your relationship with Root or yesterday's mission. If you do it, you'll be accused of treason, and you will be prosecuted and then executed. Now take your mask off and sign these papers. Minato then placed some papers on the desk. Naruto shrugged and took his mask off. He noticed a slight gasp from his father, but he only signed the papers before handing them back. Very well, Minato said, here are the keys to your apartment, and in this scroll is the money from your missions. You can do whatever you want with that money, as long as you don't go telling about their origins. Minato finished, giving him the keys. Naruto had already given him all his equipment, while he accepted the keys. The Hokage was about to order him to leave until Naruto requested, Hokage-sama, if you don't mind, I want to keep my katana. It's something really special to me. Minato was curious to know why the demon had something special. Hence, he asked, can you tell me why? Naruto shrugged. Well, I won that katana in my first kill, from a stupid samurai who wanted to have a duel with me. I didn't pay him attention and I killed him quickly. That's why it's special to me, he answered as if it was something ordinary. Minato didn't see anything wrong with that, but a small part of him felt sorry for him. Killing at that age, no. He killed his son. He had no reason to feel sorry for him. Minato sighed, okay, you can take it. Now you're dismissed. After that, Naruto quickly grabbed his katana and disappeared with a fire shunshin. Minato was slightly surprised of such ability. A shunshin was something easy to do, but adding an element to it was quite hard. However, he sighed and continued with the bane of his existence paperwork. With Naruto, currently, Naruto was jumping on the roofs of the village, looking for his new home. He did not care about Danzo or Root. He thought that the old fool knew all this. Thus, he did not see the point of returning to the base and tell him that he was leaving. Besides, he did not have anything to pick up from there. But not everything was bad. They gave him his money and identity again. He knew that the Hokage said nothing about hiding his status as a Jinchuriki, so he was sure that everyone in the village would know within a week that the demon brat had returned to the village to kill them all. Poor fools, now he was not the defenseless child from 3 years ago. Now he would break some bones if anyone dared to do something against him. After a few moments, he came to the address where his apartment was, and when he saw it, he could only think of one thing. This is a sty. He continued to settle in this place, and think what he would do in this whole month before going to the academy. And he could only think of one thing: training. With that in mind, he left his apartment, and headed to an area far away from the village. He had to find out what more he could do with his eyes. He had almost mastered his gravity techniques. Now he only needed 2 minutes to use those techniques, and the Ninjendo, human path, seemed to have no cooldown. He created about 50 clones to practice ninjutsu as he tried to figure out what else he could do with his Rinnegan. Then he started with his training. Okay. Looks like things will be more interesting for us from now on, Akarama? Naruto asked, and he quickly got his answer. I don't doubt it. 2 weeks later, hospital, 11:30 a.m. Sasuke Uchiha had woken up a few minutes ago, just to hear the conversation of some nurses that he was the only one survivor of the Uchiha clan. At that moment, he remembered everything that had happened, how the man killed his father and everything that he had said, and what he could remember better was, you will never be able to defeat me, not as you are now. Fill your heart with hate. Never trust anyone. Don't show mercy. We will meet again. He thought about this for a few moments before reviving the images of that man killing his father and the rest of his clan. He recalled how that guy looked, but he could only remember a few strands of red hair. Yes, since that day, Uchiha Sasuke began to hate redheads. He would have to get stronger. He had to start taking some serious training from now on. Sasuke couldn't waste any more time. Just then he heard the door opening slowly. He asked himself if they were his annoying fans. Perhaps they had already heard that he was here, and they came to bother him. When the door opened completely, Sasuke could see his brother entering the room. He realized that at first he showed happiness in his eyes, but after a few seconds, they changed to sadness. Itachi proceeded to talk. How are you, Otoro? He was genuinely concerned about his brother. They had told him how they had found him, besides the mental state in which he was in. That was the reason he took so long to get back to consciousness. At first, he was furious at what they did to his precious brother, but then he had been thankful because they left him alive. Itachi knew that he should have been the one responsible for the massacre, but at the end, they decided to keep him in the village and allow someone else to do it. Now he had more reasons to protect the village. Itachi didn't need to dirty his hands, and besides that, his brother was still alive. Therefore, he would be able to educate him, and probably Sasuke would not be like the rest of his cursed clan. Sasuke ignored the question and spoke with a somewhat dull voice. Itachi, I want you to train me seriously after leaving this place. I can't lose my time anymore. What happened hours ago was a wake-up call for me. That guy made me look pathetic. I couldn't see how he looked like. I could only see his red hair. All I know is that he said that he would return when I was ready. So please train me? If that guy comes back and sees that I'm still weak, he wouldn't hesitate to kill me. I saw what he did to our clan. He didn't even try hard, and he annihilated one of the greatest clans in the elemental nations. Maybe if you had been there, you could have caught that guy. Sasuke ended, squeezing as hard as his little fists allowed him, and Itachi could see that Sasuke had a pleading look on his face. That didn't help Itachi to stop feeling sorry for his brother. He couldn't tell him that if he had been there, he would have been the one who would have killed everyone and not that mysterious man. To be honest, he didn't know who the assassin was, not even Anbu handled that information. It was an exclusive matter of the Hokage, and he couldn't be asking for the identity of the man, even if he wanted to. Itachi looked at Sasuke for a few more seconds and then nodded. Sure, Otsuto. But now you have to rest. When you leave, we'll start your training. Sasuke nodded and laid back on the bed, and after a while, Itachi left the room. After Itachi had left the room, Sasuke frowned. Now he had to dedicate himself to his training and stop wasting time with Menma and his nonsense. Maybe he would also start his training, but in any case, Uchiha Sasuke would not be the same kid as before. With Naruto. Naruto was calmly walking through the streets of the village. It seemed that the news that he had returned had spread like the plague because the insults and the hateful glares had returned. He didn't care what these bastards thought, as long as they didn't dare to do anything stupid, like getting in his way. He would not mind, but there were always stupid people calling for a beating. And it seemed that some of them were begging for one right now since 4 men appeared out of the crowd and had surrounded him, while they stared at him with pure contempt. Naruto didn't even look up and coldly spoke. I'll only say this once, you have 10 seconds to get out of my way, or you'll be sorry. One of the guys who were in front of him replied, Ha! Did you hear that? It seems that the demon has become braver. I think we have to remind him his place. After that, many people began to cheer him and tell him to strike first. Naruto was listening to all this and couldn't help shaking his head. Well, I gave them a chance. I have no other option but to kick their miserable asses. Naruto thought. Kurama growled in approval and replied, Yes, teach these bastards what would happen if they mess with us. Don't leave any of these idiots unharmed. Naruto smiled as he stood in the stance of his original taijutsu, with his left leg forward and the other one backward. He stretched his left arm completely, and the right one at the half. The man in front of him was about to laugh and ask what the hell he wanted to do, but Naruto spoke first. Your time is over. When he said that, he gave a powerful kick with his right foot to the man's knee. The result was a broken knee and a man screaming in pain. However, Naruto didn't stop there. He quickly grabbed the man's right arm, and he bent it until it made a sickening snap, saying that he had successfully broken the bone. He wanted to do something else but realized that the man had already fainted. So much pain made his body collapse, and therefore, go to the world of unconsciousness. He was about to attack the others, but he saw that 2 of them began to run, and only one of them stood there. It seemed that he still had a bit of courage, and Naruto would gladly take it away from him. He approached the man and jumped into the air, dropping his left foot right on the man's left shoulder, effectively dislocating it. He was about to continue, but right then an Anbu appeared in front of him and spoke with a feminine voice. That's enough, Naruto. You've had enough fun with these bastards. Leave them and don't waste more time with these idiots. She had a rabbit-shaped mask and Naruto could see that she had purple hair. This woman was Yugao Yuzuki. She was one of the few people in the village who didn't see Naruto as the incarnation of the demon, and she didn't like the treatment that he was receiving. But she couldn't let him kill some civilians, although she knew that they deserved it. Naruto looked at the Anbu for a few more seconds. He couldn't detect any hostility in her words. It seemed that she was just doing her job. Naruto shrugged and replied, Sorry, Yasagi-san, rabbit. I just wanted to make a point clear, and that point was what would happen to any of these poor bastards. He looked at the multitude and then to the fallen guys, while he continued, if they dared to mess with me again. As you can see, I like to keep my physical integrity, and I also like to kick some asses. But hey, if they don't get in my way, then we could save the ladder and no one would get hurt. Now if you'll excuse me, I will continue with my little tour. Take care of these bastards, I'm leaving. And with that said, he made his way through the mass of people who looked at him with fear. Yugao sighed and said to the crowd, All right, all of you. Continue with whatever you have to do. And instantly they dispersed and returned to their previous activities. Yugao then turned around and looked at the 2 men who were on the ground and commanded, Inu, dog, Saru, monkey. Just at that moment, 2 Anbu appeared. One had a dog-shaped mask and the other one a monkey-shaped mask. Hi, Taisho. Both said. Yugao looked at them and stated, Grab these guys and then take them to the hospital. We don't want them to die in the middle of the street on our shift, right? I'll report this to Hokage-sama. And then she disappeared in a puff of smoke. Hokage Tower minutes later. Yugao had reached the Hokage Tower a few minutes ago, and she had exactly reported what happened with Naruto and those men. Minato carefully listened and then nodded. Very good, Usagi. You can leave, thanks for telling me this. Yugao nodded and disappeared in a puff of smoke. After Yugao was gone, Minato let out a big sigh and thought, I hope it wasn't a bad idea to send him to the academy. I don't believe he'll be so stupid as to attack some kids, but this was the only thing that came to me to keep an eye on him. That demon is very elusive, and besides that, he knows how to hide his presence. Minato left his thoughts for later as he looked at his biggest enemy right in front of him, the paperwork. With Menma, moments earlier, Menma was calmly eating ramen at his favorite place called the Chiraku. The place seemed to have improved since he and his father decided to eat some occasional bowls here. He didn't know the reason for it, but he didn't care. Right now, he was with Shikamaru and Chuji eating until they heard screams in the street. Menma and Shikamaru saw that Chuji went outside to see what was going on. Both shook their heads, but they decided to follow him. There they saw something shocking. A boy, no bigger than them, had brutally beaten two men before leaving the place, as if nothing had ever happened. After a few moments, they heard a few whispers that sounded like, demon and kill all. They couldn't understand very well since they were talking in whispers and words became mixed, but then an ANBU dispersed a multitude of people, and after a while, only Menma and the other two stood in the street. They looked at each other, and then they headed to the park. When they arrived, Chuji was the first one to talk. Whoa, did you see that? That kid almost killed those men. Chuji stated, really surprised while he ate some crisps. Shikamaru only said, how troublesome. Then they remained silent. After a few minutes, Menma spoke, but how did he learn to do all that? My Oto-san has told me that he is an orphan who lives in the red light district of the village. Besides that, most of the village hate him, so I don't think that anyone could have taught him something. But what if he is but he stopped? No, I don't think so. My Oto-san would already know it. It doesn't matter. I'll find that boy, and I'll demand him to tell me how he learned all that. Menma stated with confidence. Chuji looked at him as if he were crazy, and Shikamaru was the one who spoke next. That would be troublesome, Menma. You saw what he did to those guys, don't you? I don't think he would care that you are the son of the Hokage. He said he would do the same to anyone who stood in his way. That would be troublesome for you, and maybe he would kill you. Shikamaru had always been the voice of reason among them, but Menma didn't care about that and replied, it doesn't matter. If he tries to do something to me, my Oto-san will send him to a cell. Kakashi and I will be with me. With him nothing can happen to me. I'll see you tomorrow at the academy. Bye guys. Menma said as he left the park. Chuji and Shikamaru sighed, and then Chuji asked, he's going to die, right? Shikamaru sighed and replied, troublesome. With Naruto. Naruto currently was in the 44th training ground, also known as the Forest of Death. He had discovered this area by accident, and after a few days, it had become his favorite training ground, though he knew that the Chunin exams took place here. Working for Root taught him the important points of the village, but he never expected that this field could be like this. Giant bugs, man-eating plants, areas of quicksand, and more dangerous elements were in this place, which was perfect for his training. Presently, he was trying to improve his gravity element. He had discovered that his element allowed him to float for a few seconds, but the usage of chakra was massive. He had to control his element first, and then the chakra consumption would be less, and perhaps, he would be one step closer to master the abilities of his Tendo Deva path. He stopped doing what he was doing when he got tired of the person who had been watching him from a while ago. Therefore, he decided to talk. Come on, get out of there. I'd been asking myself if you were waiting for me to drop my guard or something like that to attack me, but let me tell you something, I never dropped my guard. Just when he finished saying that, a bunch of snakes caught him and held him tightly, and among the bushes a woman showed up, with light brown pupilless eyes and violet hair that was styled in a short, spiky, fan ponytail. She wore a tan overcoat with a purple inseam, which had a pocket on both sides, and complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretched from her neck down to her thighs. She also wore a dark orange miniskirt, as well as a forehead protector and shin guards. The woman looked at Naruto and replied, oh really? And how do you explain that I've caught you so easily? I'm surprised that you could detect me, but my snakes are technically undetectable. Now tell me what you are doing here before turning you into food for my snakes. The strange woman looked at him with a sadistic smile on her face. Naruto didn't flinch and calmly answered, I'm here because this is the best place I've found to train without any interruptions, or so I thought. As for the other, I always knew that your silly snakes were approaching. And regarding your first question. Then the Naruto, who was being held by the snakes, disappeared in a puff of smoke. The woman was surprised, but then she could feel the coldness of the metal on one of her thighs while she heard the voice of a boy. You've never caught me. At the moment you sent your snakes, I replaced myself with a clone while I patiently waited for what you had to say. Now, can we talk like civilized people? My name is Naruto, what's yours? Naruto politely asked, pulling his kunai away from her. He could be a bastard most of the time, but in front of a beautiful woman, he always kept his sanity, as long they didn't attempt to kill him. Even though this woman had attacked him, he didn't feel bad intentions from her, so he decided to let that go overlooked. As for Anko, she was still surprised this brat, of not more than 10 years old, had caught her with her guard off. Besides that, he had detected her snakes and herself from the beginning, and it was supposed that the stealth was her specialty. Now she was more curious than before to know more about this boy. She didn't know him personally, but she had seen and heard how the village treated him due to his state as a Jinchuriki. She had been through something similar like this before when her former sensei had put the curse mark on her body and betrayed the village. Since then, she had been known as the Snake Whore Bastards. She pulled those thoughts away and answered, "My name is Anko Midarashi, but don't think that you are the big thing just for catching me with my guard off. I just wanted to test your skills, haha." Anko finished with a rather nervous laugh. Naruto rolled his eyes and replied, "Yes, sure. Whatever you say, miss. Could you now get back to doing whatever you were doing before interrupting my training? And can you leave me here alone?" Naruto finished crossing his arms. Anko took advantage of this to make a joke and spoke sensually. "What? Do you not want some female company? Maybe I could give you a little kiss." Anko winked at Naruto, who smiled and chuckled at this. Maybe she thought that he would be ashamed of her words, but he had been trained to resist the kunoichi seduction techniques. Thanks to Danzo and Kurama, something as simple as that would not be enough. Naruto shook his head. "Well, I'll save that kiss for the future. Even though I find you very attractive, I'm still too young for that stuff. Now I've lost a lot of time, and it's time to return to my apartment. I'll see you later, Anko-san." Then he disappeared in a fire shunshin. Anko smiled and then thought, Naruto, a fascinating boy. Maybe, when you're a little bigger, you can have some quality time with your dear Anko-chan. After that, Anko left the area. Konohagakure no Sato, Ninja Academy 2 weeks later. It had already passed a month that the Hokage gave Naruto to prepare himself to attend the Ninja Academy. To be honest, he just wanted to defect the village right now, but he couldn't do that yet. He still needed to do many things in this place, and among them was how to recover Kurama's power. It wouldn't be easy, but he trusted that someday he would know how to. Naruto at this moment was listening to the class teacher, Iruka. He was saying things about how he had to behave and stupid things that he didn't care about. Naruto just wanted to get out of there. A few seconds later, he told Naruto to follow him because he was going to introduce him to his new classmates. Naruto sighed at this. Coexisting with immature kids would be the most annoying thing that could have happened to him, or that's what he thought until Iruka opened the classroom door, and he saw 2 children who may kill his boredom. He couldn't help but mentally smirk at this. Classroom moments before, Menma was sitting next to Kiba, Shikamaru, and Shuji. Since the massacre of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke was no longer the same as before. He barely spoke to anyone and also ignored everyone, and when lessons ended, nobody saw him until the next day. He sighed when Shuji asked, "So, Menma? Did you have any luck finding that boy? You had said that you would search for him, and when you found him, you would demand him to tell you how he learned all that. And as I can see that you are still in one piece, I think that I already know the answer." Menma growled and answered, "Just so you know. Yes, I did search for him, but after that incident, I didn't see him anywhere, not even with the help of Kakashi and I. He says that that boy is very elusive." Menma ended, just as the door opened and Iruka entered the classroom along with the boy that they had been talking about moments ago. Shikamaru was the one who spoke now. How troublesome. With Naruto and Iruka now, Iruka cleared his throat to get everyone's attention and announced, "Kids, listen to me. From today, we will have a new student with us. He was on a trip for a few years, and he returned to the village a few weeks ago. That's the reason he didn't join the academy with you, kids." He paused and then continued, "So, can you introduce yourself to the class?" Iruka asked, wanting Naruto to finish his words. He waited a moment, and since he saw that Naruto stood completely still, he insisted, "Come on. Don't be shy and tell everyone who you are." Naruto stared at him for a few seconds and then calmly stated, "For what? I'm sure that their bastard parents have already spoken to them about me, but okay. My name is Naruto, known as the Demon Brat. It's my displeasure to meet you, fucking idiots." Iruka was about to reprimand him, but someone else did it. "Shut up, fucking doe. Who the hell do you think you are? Show respect, damn demon." Yes, Uchiha Sasuke was furious. He was thinking about what that man had told him when Iruka opened the door, and when he saw the boy's hair color, he just lost it. He asked to himself who could have that hair color besides that murderer, and this boy. It wasn't a very typical color in Konoha. But then what he had said at the end was the straw that broke the camel's back, that they were a bother for him. Yeah, right. He was the demon. His mere presence was despicable. His father had talked about him a lot, and he always blamed him for the Uchiha clan's current condition. He said that Naruto was the Kyuubi's incarnation, and he trusted his father since he had never lied to him. He was about to add something else when Iruka shouted, "Enough, Sasuke. You too, Naruto. No one will fight here or elsewhere, don't make me repeat it or I'll give you a punishment." Naruto dismissed the threat by moving his hands and then proceeded to sit down in one of the empty seats. next to a blonde-haired girl with blue eyes who was looking at him with interest. After a while, she smiled and waved with her fingers as she spoke. "Hello, my name is Ino." Naruto looked at her and replied, "I think you know mine." "Regardless, mine is Naruto, nice to meet you." Ino smiled amusedly. "I thought it was a displeasure." Naruto shook his head, smiling and answered, "You know, I only said that because I could perceive two strong smells of idiots in this place, and I have a great displeasure for that peculiar smell," Naruto stated, looking at Sasuke and Menma, who looked at him at that very moment. Naruto smiled and waved with his middle finger to each of them. They both glared at Naruto, who cavalierly ignored them. Then he put his attention on Ino, who was still looking at him amusingly. "You are amusing. But why do you dislike the son of the Hokage and Sasuke-kun?" Ino asked. Naruto didn't see anything wrong with that question, so he answered, "Well, you know, I have a skill that makes me feel and identify the arrogant bastards. And let me tell you that my senses tell me that they are on the cusp of arrogance." Ino was surprised at what he said, not for having a skill, but due to the way he spoke. It was somewhat eloquent but sometimes sarcastic. He was someone very mature for someone of his age. Maybe the way in which the other villagers talked to him forced him to be like that. He was about to continue his little conversation until Iruka spoke. "Very well, class, that's enough. Open your books and we'll proceed with the class. Today we'll talk about the Third Shinobi World War and the great hero of this conflict." After saying that, Menma gave fast claps and stated that everyone would be learning more about how cool his father was. Naruto rolled his eyes and said, "Cough bastard, cough baby, cough." After saying that, the whole class burst into laughter, and Menma glared at him. Iruka cleared his throat and called everyone's attention again. "Naruto, that was your last joke. One more time and you will leave the class." Naruto replied sneering, "Oh no. That would be terrible. If you do that, then I will miss this great class, and in the future, I would lose the ability to kill my enemies of boredom with these stupid stories." Most of the class let out a youth. Iruka meanwhile was boiling inside. Maybe Naruto knew that he couldn't kick him out of the classroom until the classes ended. It was an order from the Hokage. He wasn't sure why, but he clearly said that he should remain in the classroom until the departure time. Iruka sighed in defeat and continued with his class while Naruto had a triumphant smile on his face. Naruto turned around and saw that Ino was looking at him with a hint of admiration in her eyes, so he asked, "What's wrong?" After a few seconds, Ino laughed and answered, "Nothing, it's just that Iruka-sensei had never lost a fight of words, and you annihilated him. You should teach me how to do that after class." Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. This girl was quite coquettish for someone of her age, and he liked it. Naruto then sat back and responded, "I'm sorry, but right now, that isn't possible. Maybe another day. I'll let you know when I can. You see, dealing with lots of angry villagers is something tiring, and I don't think that someone as cute as you can endure the angry stares for a long time." Ino blushed a little at the word cute. However, she frowned and replied softly, "The villagers are stupid. My father told me about the burden you have. He says that you're not the demon, and that the villagers can't understand that because they've lost many of their loved ones in that tragedy. There are other clans don't believe that you're the demon, like the Nara, Akimichi, and Yamanaka. Maybe there are more, but I only know of those because my friends are of these clans and their parents usually go to my house. I know about this because I accidentally heard my father talking about this a while ago." "You're not angry because I know this, are you?" Ino asked. To be honest, she didn't want to annoy Naruto. She thought he was cute due to his whisker marks that made him look so adorable, like a kitten, or that's what she thought. Meanwhile, Naruto was digesting all this information while thinking. It seems that not everyone in this village are bastards. Maybe I could leave some of them alive and Ino could be useful in the future. Naruto then remembered Ino's question and answered, "Don't worry, Ino-chan. I would never be mad at you." Naruto ended with a charming smile on his face, causing a big blush on the face of Ino. Naruto smiled at her reaction and then decided to get some sleep. A little behind them, a pink-haired girl was watching all this interaction and thought, "That Ino pig, I'm sure that she only wants to make me believe that she is no longer interested in Sasuke-kun and then take him away from me. I can't allow it," and Naruto Baka insulted Sasuke-kun. How can she even talk with him? Yes, Sakura Haruno had her own fantasies. Time skipped 4 years later. Konohagaku no Sato Ninja Academy graduation day. Naruto was quietly sitting in his respective place, waiting for the arrival of the other students. He had grown up a lot in these 4 years. He now was 161 centimeters tall, and only was 13 years old. He was someone quite high compared to his classmates. He wore a black jacket with the kanji demon written in red on both sleeves and the face of a fox on its back, black A&BU pants, and he tied his katana around his waist. He recalled everything that had happened in these 4 years since that day when he had entered the academy for the first time. He had trained almost until breaking his back. He had also allowed Ino to train with him from time to time. He had met with Anko a couple of times, He had talked about some things with her and discovered that she also had resentment toward the villagers. Then he met a girl named Sakura. The only thing he could think of when he heard her squealing for the first time was to cut her throat. She was like a fucking banshee, screaming things about the true love and stuff like that. He thought that attitude was pathetic in a kunoichi. He had learned some interesting things. It seemed that Sasuke took his threat seriously. The poor bastard had turned into a fucking asocial. He had learned that he and his dear Otoro had been best friends, but now they didn't even speak to each other. The only thing for him was to train with his brother, which he discovered when he spied on them to gather some information about them. He needed to know the fighting style of the Uchiha clan, and spying on them was something enriching. He had also noticed that the aggressions against him decreased drastically after that little show he had with those two poor bastards years ago. His daddy had also doubled his eye on him, and it was becoming more and more difficult for him to escape from those ANBU bastards. He didn't hear anything about Danzo for a long time. It seemed that Danzo locked himself in his base and started complaining about losing his little weapon. He also remembered the day when his idiot brother demanded him to tell him where he learned his moves. Too bad for him because he decided to go alone to say such stupidity. He ended up in the middle of the forest of death, and after 2 days his daddy had found him there, After all that, nothing exciting had happened, just going to those stupid classes. He couldn't use clones because it appeared that his father was aware of that ability from his, and Iruka always took care of throwing something at him to make sure that he wasn't a clone. He also met a boy named Abirame Shino. Shino sat him well. He wasn't like the rest of the brats, he was intelligent and objective, and he would say things bluntly and wasted no time explaining things. Naruto thought that he would become a true shinobi. Naruto was taken out from his musings when someone hit his table sharply. He looked up and saw someone who seemed to cry out for another walk in the forest of death. It was Menma, and he appeared to be irritated. They both stared at each other, and it seemed that neither of them would give in until Menma looked away and spoke. Listen very well, Dobe. My father is coming today to watch the exams, and you will behave. Try not to embarrass this class. Naruto snorted and replied sarcastically, whatever you say, Haim-sama. Naruto smiled at the reaction of his brother, given the fact that he pulled his hairs and then he sat down in his place. He heard an amused laugh next to him. He turned his head and saw Ino. He hadn't noticed at what moment she arrived. Moreover, he didn't even notice when everyone entered the class. Wow, he really was deep in thoughts. Then he paid attention to the girl next to him. Oh, I must be dead because I'm seeing angels. Naruto flirted. He had to admit that she had become very pretty in these 4 years. Now she had longer hair tied in a ponytail with a purple-colored dress, and bandages on her legs. He had asked her the reason for that, and she replied that her father didn't want her giving shows to the people of the academy. Naruto had laughed the first time, but now he saw the point of it. That mutt named Kiba drooled all the time over every girl he saw passing by, and he didn't like such an attitude. Shinobi shouldn't be drooling over every woman they saw. Kiba would die faster than the blink of an eye if he continued with that approach. He realized that Ino had enormously blushed as she tried to say something. He loved doing that. However, all fun ended when the drama queen entered the room followed by his fans and that girl named Sakura, screaming even louder than before. Damn it, Naruto thought that maybe she had a Kekkai Genkai bloodline from hell. Naruto had already endured her for 4 years, and now he was more than tired. He looked at Sakura, who was fawning and almost kissing Sasuke's feet. He shook his head, opened his kunai holder, and pulled a kunai out. He threw it directly at her. Nonetheless, he didn't have the intention of killing her, just get her attention, and he had succeeded since he realized that she was watching him now with fear in her eyes while the others believed that he had finally decided to kill the banshee. Naruto stood up from his seat and walked toward her. He realized that she started to go backward as she stumbled on the stairs of the class. Naruto approached her and bent down to look at her directly in her eyes, and then he decided to speak. You know, I should kill you right now, Naruto stated grimly, getting Sakura's eyes to open in shock while turning pale. She wanted to say something, but Naruto continued speaking, and save yourself the suffering of being caught on a mission and being used as a sexual object by a band of mercenaries, or be the slave of some sickening merchant. With this pathetic fangirl attitude of yours, all you will get will be that, and also the eventual death of your whole team because they will have twice the work. The completion of the mission and of protecting you. You're about to be a kunoichi, and you continue drooling over the drama queen. God damn it. Keep that attitude if you still want after all I said, but at least, do a favor to humanity and stop screaming like a fucking banshee. He shouted the last words. After that he proceeded to sit in his seat. He realized that the whole class looked at him with astonishment, and he roared, "What the fuck are you looking at, you fucking idiots? Do you want to die instead of her? I'm not in the mood right now, my fucking ears hurts." Naruto leaked a little of his killing intent to back up his words. Immediately everyone stopped looking at him, and just then the door opened, showing a euphoric Iruka. The first thing Iruka noticed was that Sakura was lying on the floor, and it seemed that she had seen a ghost. He also realized that the class was quieter than normal, perhaps because today was graduation day? Yes, maybe. Then he ordered everyone to return to their seats, and he proceeded to speak. Hi everyone, I want to say that I am proud of each of you, but he was interrupted by a voice that he began to hate a long time ago. Cough, proud of my balls, cough. Yes, Naruto, not even on the last day in the academy, would cease to interrupt him. Iruka looked at him with a popping vein on his forehead, and then he continued, yeah, proud of most of you, and I'm very happy that you will now become part of this great tree which makes the village. I'm sure you all will defend and protect this great tree with all your strength, and to top it off, the man who keeps this great tree will honor us with his presence to watch your exams. Please, Hokage-sama. If you would be so kind as to come in. Just then, the almighty Kiroi Senko, the yellow flash, entered the room. Instantly, all the students stood up and greeted the Hokage. Well, all but one. It wasn't his fault that he was already sleeping. Iruka noticed this and threw an eraser at his head as he shouted. Naruto! Show your respect to Hokage-sama. Did you not realize that he entered the room? Naruto slowly raised his head while drool came out from the corner of his lips. Hokage? He had already noticed that idiot's presence from the moment he walked into the building. The arrogant bastard didn't even bother to hide his presence. He wanted everyone to be aware of his great power. Iruka shouted again, Hokage! Could stop behaving like a stupid person, at least this day? Today is your graduation. You should worry more about your career. Then he saw that Naruto began to scratch his head and laugh like an idiot. Oh. Sorry, Iruka-sensei, you know how I am, I get bored quickly when nothing interesting happens, you see. Naruto laughed as if he felt guilty. Iruka sighed and apologized to the Hokage, who just shook his head and said that it was all right, but he was thinking differently. Damn demon! If you keep this attitude, I'll show you how interesting I can be, Minato furiously thought. After that, he told Iruka to proceed with the exams while he took a seat on one of the observation tables. The first test was to make a Kawarimi no Jutsu while Iruka threw at them some weapons of practice. Naruto shook his head at this. They should, at least, use real weapons, and if the person couldn't use the jutsu properly, then they should let them suffer the consequences for not training properly. The test was easy as everyone performed the jutsu without issues. After that, another stupid test came, more than the first one. They had to make a few simple bunshin no jutsu. Here his brother had some problems, and he only managed to make 2 clones when the others managed to do more than 4. Vast reserves of chakra and pitiful control of them, Naruto thought. Afterward, they did the Henji no Jutsu. At this point, Naruto thought that they were just forming cannon fodder. With these techniques, most of these guys would die in their first real mission. Again, all of them performed this test without problems. Iruka smiled at his students, and then he looked at the Hokage, who nodded to his unspoken question. Hence, Iruka proceeded to speak, very well class, there's still 2 tests left. If everyone were as kind as to go outside, I would be grateful. Everyone nodded and walked to the training field. Once everyone was there, Iruka started to explain this test. Okay, this test consists of throwing kunai and shuriken to these moving targets. You will have 10 shots with kunai and another 10 with the shuriken. Hitting each target will give you 10 points, and hitting them all without missing will give a total score of 150. It's the same with the shuriken throwing, but if you can hit every shot, you will get a total score of 400. Let me tell you, this is something that only a few people have managed to do. Hokage-sama is one of them. Iruka said. Minato nodded and approached to give everyone their shuriken and kunai. He stopped at his son and wished him good luck. Then he continued with his delivery until he reached Naruto, who had a bored expression on his face. Naruto looked at him and whispered so that only Minato could hear him, "You know that I don't have to do this, just give me the headband so I can leave this place." Minato shook his head and replied, "I told you that you would do this. I asked you that day if you objected to my decision, and you replied no, or do you now have a problem?" Minato narrowed his eyes. Naruto sighed and grabbed the weapons and walked away to see the students performing the test. Minato also moved away to watch the test. The first to go was Chuji. Of the 10 attempts with kunai, he hit 6 and 5 with the shuriken, which gave him a score of 110 points. Then Shikamaru gave a step forward with a tired expression on his face. Of the 10 attempts with kunai, he hit 5 and 5 with the shuriken, which gave him a score of 100, just enough to pass the test. Putting more effort was very troublesome for him. Then it was Ino's turn. She gave 7 hits with kunai and 6 with shuriken, giving her a score of 130. After that, Naruto closed his eyes, waiting for his turn. He didn't care about the others. He just wanted to leave this place. He opened his eyes when he heard too much noise from people wishing luck to his brother, so he decided to pay attention. He made 9 hits with his kunai and 9 with the shuriken, giving him a score of 180. Menma nodded happily with his performance, and his father had a look of pride on his face. Subsequently, Menma returned to his place. Naruto realized that Sasuke and he were the only ones left. They called Sasuke first, and he surprised the whole class as he had managed to make 10 hits with the kunai and 9 with the shuriken, achieving a score of 240, very above the others. Sasuke smiled with arrogance, and Iruka and the Hokage congratulated him. Then it was Naruto's turn. He wandered to the circuit. Can I do this with just a kunai and a shuriken? I just want to leave this place once and for all. Naruto asked tiredly. Iruka looked at him as if he were crazy and replied, well yes you can, but that will just give you a lower score. Naruto looked at him and shrugged. Don't worry about it. Then he looked at the circuit and saw that some mannequins were moving from left to right and others from right to left. The others curiously looked at him because he had been quiet, doing nothing. Naruto nodded after understanding the sequence and grabbed a kunai and a shuriken. He put them together as he charged right-un chakra into his weapons before throwing them sharply, hitting each and every one of the targets. Then he turned around just to see their shocked expressions. Nobody said anything about not being able to add chakra to the weapons. Now, if we've finished this foolish test, can we please end this nonsense? He asked, growing impatient. Iruka, who was still surprised, shook his head and stated, why yes, follow me. Here will be the last test. We'll have some fights, and we'll choose the winner as the Rookie of the Year. After saying that, Menma and Sasuke looked at each other, and then they looked at Naruto, who was cavalierly ignoring them. Both of them growled before walking to where they would perform the last test. When they arrived, Iruka spoke again. This test consists of combats of 1 against 1. We'll divide it into 2 categories, men and women. If everything is clear, we'll start with the last test. The girls are going to do it first. Now everyone, walk away. Everyone left the field to give rise to the combatants. Naruto already knew who would win this, so he closed his eyes to get some rest. After about 30 minutes, he heard Iruka speaking again while he gave the results, and Naruto wasn't surprised. First place and female Rookie of the Year goes to Ino Yamanaka, followed by Hinata Hyuga and Sakura Haruno. Please congratulate your classmates. Immediately, everyone started to clap. Naruto looked at Ino, who noticed the gaze he had on her. Ino saw a smile and a wink before seeing him lying down again. Ino blushed slightly and thought while the men's tournament started, when this is over, I will do it, I can't wait anymore. As expected, Menma, Sasuke, and Naruto reached the finals easily. Winner and finalist Uchiha Sasuke. Now please, Menma and Naruto, come forward to decide the other finalists of this tournament, Iruka announced calmly. Both came forward. Naruto smiled maliciously in his head while his face was blank. On the other hand, Menma had a look of determination. Behind them, Minato was watching this with concern. Damn demon, you'd better not do anything stupid, or you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Minato thought. Then Iruka pronounced, you know the rules, this continues until one gives up or is knocked out. It's forbidden to kill your opponent. If you both are ready, start. They both remained quiet for a few moments until Menma stated, listen up, Dobe. Today, I will show you the place where you belong. Do you understand? You'll be begging for mercy in a few moments. Now get ready, because here I go. With that said, Menma went on the attack, throwing punches and kicks at Naruto, who was just dodging them. He realized that his brother's attacks were neat. He was at genin level, but Naruto was much more than that. Menma continued his assault. He was becoming increasingly frustrated because he couldn't land a single hit on Naruto, who got tired of dodging, so he caught one of Menma's fists with his hands, holding it tightly. Naruto then spoke, now it's my turn. He would not use his taijutsu with this little bastard because he knew if Menma got hurt permanently, he would be in trouble. He just needed to use an improvised taijutsu. Therefore, he raised him in the air before crashing Menma to the ground with a strength that would knock out an average person. Most of them were surprised. Naruto had never participated before in any combat in the academy. Most of them believed that he was just a weakling but with attitude. But others knew exactly why, as Shikamaru and Shuji, and seeing how he defeated one of the best students in the academy, left them surprised. When they left their shock, they saw Menma bruised and unconscious on the ground, with Naruto right beside him. Naruto looked at him and shook his head. He didn't even put much strength in that attack. He waited a few minutes until Iruka returned with Sasuke, who glared at him while Iruka spoke. The winner and finalist, Naruto. Now we will have the last fight so we can choose the Rookie of the Year. The fight will be Naruto against Sasuke. You know the rules, they're the same as the other fights. If you both are ready, begin. Sasuke didn't wait and quickly threw a few shuriken at Naruto, who moved aside to dodge them. Sasuke quickly approached him and began using the Uchiha Taijutsu. Naruto didn't know if Sasuke was aware that his taijutsu only worked with his Sharingan. Every punch that he threw to him left big openings that he could take advantage of. But he still wanted to have fun with the little boy that he left alive in his massacre. Sasuke, realizing that his taijutsu didn't work, he jumped away from him while he made some hand seals before shouting Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu, Fire release, Phoenix Sage fire technique. Then small balls of fire appeared, which approached to Naruto from all directions. Naruto saw the attack coming and quickly left that area. Sasuke then saw his chance and made more hand seals and shouted another jutsu, Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fireball Jutsu. A huge fireball headed to Naruto, who could do nothing to dodge it and receive the full attack. Most of the crowd had expressions of horror because they thought that Sasuke killed Naruto, while Minato felt a stab in the heart. When the attack stopped, he sighed in relief as realized that Naruto wasn't there. Minato at no time noticed his own emotions. Naruto then jumped from a tree, landing in front of Sasuke. What did you try to do, Sasuke-chan? Naruto lazily asked as he wiped one of his ears. Sasuke growled with fury and shouted, Damn you demon! I'll kill you, do you understand? Take me seriously or you're going to pay it. Naruto stopped wiping his ears and replied, Do you want me to take you seriously? Okay, try to survive this. Naruto made a Kage Bunshin, and both began to make hand seals at full speed. The Naruto clone finished first with his hand seals and shouted, Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. A fireball much smaller than Sasuke's headed to him, and he just moved away a little from the impact zone. He smirked when he thought that was all, but all that changed when the original Naruto spoke, Futon, Dai Dajiki, wind release, big blow, then a big wind blast mixed with the fireball, increasing its size considerably. Sasuke didn't have time to dodge the new size of the attack completely, and it burned most of his right leg in the process. The damage wasn't severe but enough to leave a mark on his leg. Naruto smiled. He didn't charge much chakra in his attacks. He could have burned Sasuke entirely, but if he did that, he would have been in a serious problem right now. Sasuke saw that smile and growled, What's so funny, demon? It was just a lucky break, don't think that it will happen again. Sasuke stood up slowly from the ground while he started to feel the pain in his right leg. Naruto shook his head at the arrogant attitude of Sasuke and then sighed. He was already bored of this, he just wanted to go to his house and get some rest. He didn't want to keep playing with Sasuke. Hence, he caught the attention of Iruka and stated, I surrender, which surprised everyone in the area. Iruka asked if he was serious and Naruto answered, Sure, I had enough fun with the princess. Besides, I don't want a stupid title as the Rookie of the Year. Give it to the dummy. I don't want it. It'll only give me more problems. After that, he walked to his resting place, until he heard an annoying voice. Cha! Sasuke-kun is the best. Naruto Baka surrendered because he realized that Sasuke would fight seriously. Then he heard other girls screaming things like that. Naruto shook his head. Idiots, it seemed that they didn't understand that they would die or that something worse would happen to them in their missions. He shrugged and kept going until he heard Sasuke shouting, Damn demon! Stop trying to be cool. I'll show you that no one turns away and ignores me. After saying that, he ran towards Naruto to attack him. However, Iruka stopped him halfway. Stop it, Sasuke. You've already won, Naruto surrendered. You're now the Rookie of the Year. I won't tolerate unnecessary fights in the academy. Now get back to your place so I can give you your headbands. Sasuke growled again and then he went to his place. Then Iruka cleared his throat and spoke, Congratulations to all of you, from this day on you are genin. You will be shinobi of this village. You will take care of protecting it and its people. Be proud, not everyone can be a shinobi, and you are one of those who have had the privilege. Now step forward and Hokage-sama will give you your headbands. After a few minutes, everyone had their headbands and Minato gave a speech about the will of fire, and that crap that Naruto didn't desire to hear. After that Iruka spoke again. Alright everyone. You will return in 2 days to know which team will assign you to and who will be your Jounin sensei. That would be all, now you can go outside with your parents. Iruka stated, and everyone started to leave. Naruto walked to the exit and was about to cross it when he heard someone calling him softly. Hey, Naruto-kun over here. Naruto recognized Ino's voice. He shrugged and walked to where she was. Naruto noticed that she was bowing her head, but then she raised it, and Naruto saw a slight blush on her cheeks. Naruto mentally smiled at this as he deduced the reason she had called him. Ino opened her mouth and spoke. Naruto-kun, do you think we'll be on the same team? I thought it would be great if you and I were on the same team. To be truthful, I would like that. Naruto wanted to play a little bit with her and replied, Oh? Why would you want to be on my team? You know, those things of being the companion of the demon wouldn't be good for you. Ino opened her eyes and quickly answered, I don't care about what the ignorant people think. You're not a demon to me. Why you're and she stopped there. Naruto spoke again and asked, Am I what Ino? An idiot, but before he could finish, Ino had jumped on top of him and started kissing him. Naruto quickly returned the kiss, and after a few seconds, he pushed his tongue against Ino's lips, asking her permission to enter. She gladly gave it, and then they both fought with their tongues. Naruto won, and after a few seconds the two separated with a spit trail. Naruto saw that Ino still had a lost look on her face. Therefore, he spoke, well, if this is what I will get for being on your team, then I'll be praying to Kami to be there. Naruto then gave her a short kiss, which pulled Ino out of her frozen state. Realizing what she did, Ino blushed. I am as sorry. I didn't mean to do that, please forgive me for being such a rude person, she quickly said, bowing slightly. Naruto chuckled and replied, don't worry about that, Ino-chan. Let me tell you that kiss was quite pleasant. You have a talent for this. I'll be eagerly awaiting the next one. However, now I have to leave. Maybe you should do the same, your parents are probably waiting for you outside. See you the day of the team assignments. Goodbye. Ino was about to say that he didn't have to leave, but she saw him disappearing with a lightning shunshin. At first, she was surprised that he knew a jutsu like that, but then she thought that he was just too cool. Therefore, he would know how to do those things. Then she went with her parents, and thought about the kiss she had with Naruto. Naruto had arrived at his apartment after a few minutes. He thought that he would finally be free of that stupid academy. He just had to go there in 2 days for the last time, and he would never step in that place again, or so he thought. After taking a quick shower and eating something, Naruto decided to have a talk with his tenant. Kurama, I want you to answer me something. Why the hell my hair is starting to have tufts of blonde color? You said that I suffered changes because my father sealed only a fraction of your power and your consciousness inside me. Could you tell me why this is happening? Naruto curiously asked. He had to dye his hair from time to time to avoid suspicion. He couldn't allow his hair to turn blonde, or everyone would notice whom he really was. Kurama growled and replied, that's because you've been in your dear Ototo's presence for a long time. It seems that the power that is within the brat is somehow affecting your seal, and that's why your features are returning to their original state. The longer you are close to him, the restoration process will increase its speed. I've noticed that I can't stop this, and eventually, you will have blonde hair and blue eyes. Therefore, I recommend you to avoid that brat if you don't want that all our plans be affected just because your body suffered some changes. I'm sure that the stupid Yandame will realize that you are his child once you experience all these changes. He thinks that I am you, as I told you. But if he sees that you are returning to your original state, he wouldn't hesitate to get you back, since I had felt on many occasions that he have feelings of attachment to you, like today, when that Uchiha brat tried to burn you. I could feel his anguish. Kurama ended. Naruto thought about this for a moment, and then replied, as if I'm going to let that bastard get close to me in that way. If he comes to realize who I am, it will be too late. We won't be here when that happens. Naruto then cut the mental connection. He went to brush his teeth and then he go to sleep until the next day. He had to rest. He had spent too much chakra this week trying to master his gravity element. Now he could float in the air without spending hardly any chakra. Nevertheless, when he attempted to move in the air, he quickly spent his chakra reserves, which was the reason he couldn't do much. He was just steps away from mastering his element. He was trying to find a way, and perhaps in the not-too-distant future, someone could help him with that. Jonin room, the next day. Right now most of the village Jonin were listening to the Hokage. He was talking about who were going to be the teachers of the new graduates of the academy. He had already assigned the first teams. Asuma then stepped forward and spoke, Hokage-sama, if you would allow me. I would like to train the new Ino-Shikicho team, and take the heirs of those clans as my students. Minato nodded and assigned them as Team 10. Kurenai then stepped forward and asked, I would like to take Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Minato nodded again and assigned them as Team 8. Minato then looked at Kakashi, who nodded and spoke, I would like to take Menma Namikaze, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno as my students. At that moment, people started whispering about Kakashi's decision on taking a genin team. One of them was the son of Hokage and the other one of the last Uchiha. They thought that his decision was strange because he had never approved any of his former students. Minato ordered them to be silent, but then he nodded. Leaving all that aside, there's only one more person left. You all know him, so who want to be his Jonin sensei? Minato asked. The truth was that he hoped that no one spoke, because if he didn't have a teacher, Minato wouldn't have to assign him missions. Thus, Naruto wouldn't be able to get out of the village. When he thought that nobody was going to speak, he heard people complaining because someone was pushing them. Minato then saw that Anko step beside the other Jonin sensei as she expressed. I would like to train that brat. I've seen what he can do and let me tell you that he's excellent at stealth, and that's my specialty. Minato looked at her for a few seconds, but then he thought that it would be a good idea. Perhaps the demon would get bored of her, and then he would ask him for another sensei, something that he wouldn't agree. Yes, everything would be okay, or that's what he thought. Okay, Minato replied. Anko, you will be in charge of Naruto, you two will be a team. Minato ended, causing several murmurs from the crowd because they had never before seen a team with 2 people only. However, Minato continued, however, you must get the remaining members on your team. You will be Team 13. Now all of you dismiss. Everyone left the room with a shunshin, except for Kakashi, who stayed there reading his famous orange book. Nonetheless, he closed it with a sigh and left the room walking. Minato's sweat dropped at the lazy attitude of his student, but then he also withdrew from the place to return to his home. Today he had the day off, so he decided to spend the day with his son. Kanahigaku no Sato. Next day, Naruto had woken up a few moments ago. He just wanted to sleep peacefully until the day of the team's assignment, but not everything could go as one planned. He had risen from his bed. He had wolfed down something before brushing his teeth. After that, he went outside and walked through the streets of the village. Today he had to take that stupid ninja photo for his records. Naruto continued walking, but with a grin on his face as he looked at the villagers. Now they could do nothing because he was a ninja, and if anyone dared to attack him, he could use force without consequences. There were still a few hours left to take the photo, so he decided to walk a little more. He sought Ino for a few moments but with no result. Naruto shrugged and decided to warm up a bit until he had to go to take that photo. He went to a training camp. It was a simple one since he wouldn't do anything flashy today. He was about to train when he saw that people were occupying the place. Naruto concluded that there was nothing wrong with using the same training camp, so he made some clones and started fighting with them. After a few moments, Naruto felt that two presences approached at him real quick, so he put himself on guard when they were already in front of him. One of them shouted, "Yosh! Look, Lee Keyuan! Here we have someone with his flames of youth burning to the limit. I believe he can be a great sparring partner. Why don't you challenge him to a combat?" Naruto tried to say something, but the now identified as Lee exclaimed loudly, "Yosh! Gi-sensei, I will show you that my flames of youth are also burning to the limit." Then he looked at Naruto and shouted again, "Please, tell your name, my dear friend." "My name is Lee, nice to meet you, please, accept my challenge." Naruto noticed that these two guys were strangely alike. Both of them had a green spandex, bowl-type haircut, and super bushy eyebrows. Naruto was scared. He wanted to do something, but he didn't know what until Naruto heard a voice in his mind that yelled the best course of action, "Damn it, Naruto! Get us out of here before these guys make you say that crap too. Run, boy. Run!" Naruto quickly got out of his daze. He was about to run until he heard a familiar voice. Hence, he sighed in relief. "Lee Guy-sensei, could you stop scaring Naruto-kun like that? Not everyone is Niji and me who are used to your nonsense. By the way, hello, Naruto-kun. What are you doing here?" asked the girl as she approached him. She had brown eyes, long brown hair tied up in two buns, a pink blouse, and dark blue pants. That girl was Tenten. Naruto had met her at the academy when he was practicing with his kenjutsu. Tenten had seen him training and asked him if he could be her sparring partner. Naruto replied yes because it was strange for him to see girls who took their training as kunoichi seriously, and Tenten cared a lot for it. Right next to her was a white-skinned boy with dark brown hair. He had crossed arms and a rather arrogant attitude. Naruto completely ignored the others and greeted his rescuer. Naruto hadn't talked much with her after she had graduated from the academy. Maybe he could catch up with her now. Hello, Tenten? Don't tell me that they're your teammates. The truth is that I feel sorry for you. I don't think I would have endured too much time without killing myself or killing them, trust me," Naruto stated. Tenten giggled, and she was about to add something, but Lee interrupted her, "So you are Naruto." "Yush. Naruto Keyuan, Tenten speaks a lot about you, and she says that you are the only person who can fight with her in a duel of weapons. That makes your flames of youth ascend even more. Come on, Naruto Keyuan, fight me!" Lee was now more determined to have a practice fight with Naruto. Tenten shook her head and called Lee to scold him. "Lee, stop bothering Naruto-kun," but before she could finish, Naruto raised his hand to stop her. Naruto stared at Lee for a few seconds and replied, "Okay, we'll have a fight. You put the rules, and I'll do my best to follow them." Lee's eyes shined with excitement, while Guy jumped in front of them. "Yush! Now one of you is going to prove who the wielder of the brightest flames of youth is. The rules are simple, Naruto-kun. This will be a training combat with taijutsu only. Tenten says that you are good in that too. So, let's do it!" Guy shouted. Lee also shouted, "Yosh, Gi-sensei. I will show you that my flames of youth are more intense than his, and if I can't do it, I will do 500 laps around the village with my hands only." Naruto's sweat dropped as he wondered if these idiots were like this all the time. Everyone moved away from the fighters, and Niji decided to speak. "That loser has no chance against Lee. His destiny is to be a loser. He should reject the challenge because losers will always be losers," Niji arrogantly stated while Tenten glared him. "Shut up. You know nothing about him. He's quite strong even though no one has ever trained him seriously." Tenten replied angrily at Niji's comment, and he just chuckled again. Meanwhile, Guy added, "Indeed. I can see that Naruto-kun has great physical and mental strength. He's almost as strong as Lee. This will be a hard test for both of them. I just hope that they don't overstep the rules." With that said, Guy shouted again, YOSH. Lee Kun, Naruto Kun. If you both are ready, start. Lee didn't wait anymore and jumped toward Naruto while shouting, Konoha Senpu, Leaf Whirlwind. Naruto saw the attack coming and blocked the kick with his forearm, but he got surprised when he felt the strength behind that blow. Naruto jumped back and looked at Lee, who was smiling. YOSH, Naruto Kun. There's no doubt that your flames of youth are burning. Lee outrageously shouted while Naruto rubbed his arm and thought, that kick hurt me, what the hell? How can he hit so hard? If I had been someone else, then I would have a broken arm. Now he would take this guy seriously. Lee certainly was someone excellent in taijutsu. Naruto took a breath and stood in the same stance he had used years ago against those bastards that tried to attack him. Lee and Guy raised an eyebrow at the stance that Naruto was taking. They did not know that style, so when Lee was about to ask about it, Naruto spoke. Lee, you are someone strong in taijutsu. Let me tell you that the kick you gave me hurt me, and that's a difficult accomplishment, so I give you my respect. Now I'll show you my original taijutsu, the Bankurisha, Bone Crusher. Lee didn't know that style at all, so he decided that he didn't want to find out how it would feel if one of his blows landed on his body. If it was like the name said, well, it wouldn't be good for him. He then saw that Naruto ran toward him to attack him right on his knee. Lee went out of his way and mentally smiled. That was what he needed. He needed someone as good as him in taijutsu so that he could learn faster in this way. Even if two people were better than him on his team, they never took him seriously. Guy-sensei for being his teacher and not wanting to hurt him, and Niji for being too arrogant, believing that he wouldn't worth his time. Naruto continued with his attacks. He had to admit it, Lee indeed was splendid at taijutsu. Lee was almost on par with him, or was even better than him. Naruto thought that as Lee shouted again, Konoha de Zenpu, Leaf Great Whirlwind. Naruto barely blocked those simultaneous kicks since Lee was getting increasingly difficult to match, so he decided to increase the level of the fight slightly. He focused a small amount of his chakra to the bottom of his feet, moving even faster than before and giving Lee a kick in his face, which he couldn't block because he was surprised by Naruto's sudden increase of speed. Lee smiled and spoke again, Naruto-kun, you certainly are a worthy opponent. Therefore, I have to take this fight to another level. After saying that, Lee looked at his sensei, who gave him a thumb up. Lee nodded and sat down on the ground as he pulled off his orange leg warmers along with some weights. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. He didn't believe that something like that would take this fight to another level. Thus, he just waited to see what Lee had in mind. Lee then stood up again and spoke, done, and then he disappeared from his sight. Naruto opened his eyes in surprise. Not even he was that fast, without using chakra, of course. He calmed down and tried to feel Lee's chakra signature. It was quite difficult since he noticed that his chakra levels were very tiny, almost as if they hadn't developed. Maybe this was the reason he used taijutsu only. Just then, Lee appeared behind him. He ducked and rolled to move away from Lee. If it hadn't been for his years of experience, then he would have taken a sharp hit in his neck. Lee disappeared again, only to reappear in front of Naruto and throw a devastating blow to him. Naruto rolled on the ground before looking at Lee to say, I must admit that you're superior to me in speed and taijutsu. But what do you think if we change the rules from now on? Then he made 5 clones, who instantly rushed to attack Lee, who was now dodging the blows of the clones. Then he saw that the original Naruto finished some hand seals and shouted, Katan, Gakaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. Then an enormous ball of fire came out of Naruto's mouth, heading toward Lee, who at the last moment jumped out of the attack area. He landed on the ground and looked at Naruto. Naruto-kun, I thought this would be a fight with taijutsu only, why did you break the rules? Lee asked. Naruto shrugged and replied, well, I decided to take you seriously. I realized that taijutsu wouldn't be effective against you, and we're ninjas, rules mean nothing to us when we fight. Besides, I neglected my taijutsu, and now I'm paying for it. However, I have to thank you. Thanks to this battle, I realized that I must improve my taijutsu and find a way to increase my speed. By the way, how did you get so fast? Naruto asked. He knew the reason, he just wanted confirmation. Well, it's all thanks to Guy-sensei and his training. Those weights that I dropped helped a lot to improve my speed. You're quite fast indeed, and that you do not use weights. Lee said, and Naruto nodded again. Yes, but is not enough. Tell me, do you know another way to train without using weights? It's because I don't want to use heaters on my legs. Naruto requested. He saw that Lee thought for a moment before shaking his head. No, I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I don't know another way to increase your speed without weights. Guy-sensei might know more about that, Lee replied, and just then, Guy appeared with a bright smile on his face as he looked at Naruto with a thumb up. I know another way to increase your speed, Naruto-kun. When you finish your fight, I'll tell you. With that said, he turned around to return with Tenten and Niji. One of them still had the arrogant expression and the other one a surprised look, since she didn't know that Naruto could do all that. After Guy had walked away, Lee and Naruto retook their fighting stances, and Naruto spoke. Lee, attack me with your best shot, or I'll defeat you with my next technique. Lee processed those words. Therefore, he decided to use his trump card. Lee untied the bandages on his arms as he looked at Naruto to say, "The lotus of Konoha blooms twice. Remember that for our next fight, Naruto-kun." Then he moved even faster than before, and before Naruto could react, he was already flying in the air, with Lee right behind him. He asked himself what he had in mind until the bandages on his arms started to wrap him. Lee held him strongly and plummeted toward the ground while he rotated on his own axis at a ferocious speed. Omote Range, Primary Lotus. Lee shouted, sticking Naruto's head in the ground. Behind them, Tenten saw that with concern and shouted, "Naruto Kun." Guy, on the other hand, narrowed his eyes as he thought, that boy is very skilled. Meanwhile, Niji scoffed and stated, like I said, his fate already marked him as a loser. A loser will always be a lose, but before he could finish, that Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. Moments before that, Lee had heard Tenten scream, and just then he thought that he had overstepped with Naruto as he saw that Naruto wasn't moving at all. He worried a lot. What would happen if he killed a fellow Konoha ninja just in combat training? What would people think of him? But all the concern disappeared when saw Naruto disappearing in a puff of smoke as he felt a hand holding him firmly by his ankle. Then he heard a voice that stated, "It's over." Doton, Shinjuzanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Double Suicide Decapitation Technique. When he heard the name of the technique, Naruto drew him underground, leaving only his head visible, and Naruto just above him. Lee sighed in defeat. How? He asked, since he was sure that he grabbed Naruto with his front lotus. Naruto smiled and replied, "Well, when you sent me flying, I quickly replaced myself with one of my clones that I hid among the trees. I always have hidden clones for difficult situations, but let me tell you that you caught me off guard. That last technique of yours is quite dangerous. I don't know what would have become of me if I didn't replace myself at that moment. However, I don't blame you. You did what you had to do. You're a great shinobi, better than any of these pathetic kids who think they're ninjas only for having a headband." Lee nodded in appreciation because Naruto recognized him as a real ninja. He was about to say something else when he saw Tenten running toward Naruto and hug him tightly. "Naruto-kun. Are you okay? You had me anxious over there. I thought I lost you." It seemed that she was unaware of her words, so Naruto decided to remind her. "Don't worry about my Tenten, but did you say that you thought that you lost me?" "Why, Tenten-chan?" Naruto whispered near her ear. Tenten could feel her private parts getting wet as her face turned red. She pulled herself away from Naruto and replied, "And no, I didn't want to lose my Kenjutsu's partner. You know, there's almost no people who are good at it in this village. Don't get me wrong." Tenten was red, and she felt even wetter when she saw Naruto approaching at her with a seductive smile on his face. She was about to jump on him, but Guy interrupted all of this as he called everyone's attention. "Ahem, if you both have finished showing your glorious youth, we could talk about this fight." He stopped and hit Lee, who had already come out of the ground with the help of Niji, on his face. After that, Guy exclaimed, "Lee, I've told you to use this technique with only one condition, and I don't see that you've accomplished that condition here." Lee quickly apologized, saying that the adrenaline of a fight against a great and serious opponent made him use the attack unconsciously. Guy continued scolding him before turning around to see Naruto saying more things to a more than red Tenten, who couldn't lift her head even if she could. Guy cleared his throat, calling the attention of both of them again. "Ahem, as for you, Naruto-kun, let me tell you that your flames of youth are shining like no other. I didn't think you would have such a good taijutsu. Besides that, you were able to use jutsus of 3 elements. Even though I heard about your test in the academy, you are someone who really lives his youth to the limit." Guy shouted again. Naruto scratched his head and replied, "Well, let's just say that I was very lucky that an old man decided to train me and show me some things, like the chakra paper test and a few jutsu of my elements." Guy then asked, "And who is this sensei of yours? I would like to know him." Naruto lowered his head as if he was sad. "Sorry, but that isn't possible, unfortunately. He was killed a few years ago." Naruto responded as he lifted his head with a sad smile. "He was a fantastic actor." Guy quickly apologized, saying that he didn't know it. Thus, Guy said nothing more about that. He changed the subject. "Okay, Naruto-kun. Regarding what you asked in the fight with Lee, let me tell you that I know another method that is more effective than Lee's. I didn't give it to Lee, because, unfortunately, he's incapable of molding chakra since he has tiny chakra reserves." He made a short pause before continuing. "Therefore, it wouldn't have worked for him. You must also have great chakra reserves if you want to do this training with no problems, and in this village, there's no one with more chakra than you have. Even I can't pass from a certain point, so I have to combine it with my weights. But that wouldn't be a problem for you. With nothing more to say, I'll show you this training method." After saying that, Guy pulled from his ninja bag 2 black wrist guards that had some seals around them out. He handed them over to Naruto, who looked at them with confusion just like everyone else because those things did not seem to weigh more than 100 grams. Guy, when seeing their confusion, decided to speak. Those are different wrist guards. Each of them contains gravity seals and are the best of the best. They will help you to improve your speed and your strength. You just have to have them always with you, and adding chakra to them will increase your gravity. These wrist guards will always weigh around 100 grams, but they will increase your self-gravity on the earth. He paused so they can process his words before continuing. The more chakra you add to them, the more gravity you will feel. These wrist guards can only increase and return to the normal gravity of Earth. They can't put you below it. Now listen very well, their use is straightforward. Just send chakra in them to increase your gravity. Once you get used to that gravity, the wrist guards will turn blue and black again when you put more chakra to them. Preferably twice the amount than before. If you stop sending chakra to them and if you say Kai, you will return to the normal gravity of Earth. He paused and continued. You will realize then that you increased your speed and strength. This training is very dangerous, because every time you want to increase your gravity, those seals will consume more and more chakra from you, and they may eventually kill you if you try to force them. That's the reason I didn't give them to any of my students, because nobody has enough chakra to handle them. But you're different, Naruto-kun. As I said before, you have more chakra than anyone does in this village. Now put on those wrist guards and do what I said. Guy ended. Everyone looked at him as Naruto placed on the wrist guards, only for them to shine in a dark red color. All were stunned because the seals went out of the wrist guards and now they seemed to stay within Naruto's body. Naruto looked at Guy and asked, "This is supposed to happen, isn't it?" Guy rubbed his chin and replied, "No, this shouldn't happen. It seems that your body has assimilated those seals and made them part of you. Okay, try to concentrate chakra around your body and tell us if you feel any difference." Naruto nodded, and he concentrated a lot of his chakra because he wasn't sure how much he should use. He quickly felt being pulled toward the center of Earth, falling to the ground while he shouted Kai. Then he tried it again, but this time with less chakra. He rose up from the ground and looked at Guy, who was thumbing up and smiling widely. "Yosh. Naruto-kun, it seems that those seals still work. Your flames of youth will now shine brighter than before." Guy scandalously shouted while everyone shook their heads. Well, all except one who quickly wrote down all that his sensei had said. Naruto thanked Guy, who was giving some tips to Lee. Meanwhile, Naruto was having a conversation with Kurama. "Hey Kurama, did you do something to the seals?" Naruto mentally asked. Kurama growled in denial and replied, "No, I think that your body assimilated those seals due to your Uzumaki blood. As I told you before, your mother was one, and the Uzumakis were experts in Fuinjutsu." Naruto nodded and decided it was time to leave. He interrupted Lee and Guy, who were talking about the power of youth and that nonsense which was already starting to bother him. "Thank you for your help, Guy-sensei. And thank you for this fight, Lee. It will end up helping me a lot. But now I have to do something else." With nothing to say, goodbye to you Lee, Guy-sensei, and you too, blind boy. Everyone laughed at the nickname of Niji, who was boiling with anger. Naruto turned around and saw that Tenten blushed and looked away. Naruto smiled and walked toward her. Then he took her by the chin, making her look in his eyes. "As for you Tenten-chan," Naruto sensually spoke, wetting her intimate parts as he slowly approached his lips to hers, "he's going to kiss me. Naruto-kun is going to kiss me," she thought as she closed her eyes, happily awaiting the kiss. Naruto smiled, and at the last second, he kissed her on her cheek before saying, "We'll see each other soon." After saying that, he disappeared with a regular shunshin. Tenten opened her eyes and sighed with disappointment when she realized that Naruto didn't kiss her on the lips. But he still had kissed her, not the way she expected, but it was still a kiss. That made her smile as Guy shouted, "Oich! It seems that Tenten has found someone to share her flames of youth for all eternity. Everybody let's go and celebrate this big day for Tenten." Tenten blushed when she heard that and replied, "Shut up, Guy-sensei. It's not what you think, Naruto-kun and I are just friends." Tenten whispered the last word. Niji growled and spoke while leaving, "You can do whatever you want. If you wish to be with a loser, nobody cares." After saying that, Niji left, and everyone looked at him with confusion. After a few minutes, each of them left the area to do what they had to do. Tenten thought about how she reacted when Naruto spoke to her, and Lee started doing his self-imposed task for losing against Naruto while Guy helped him. With Naruto 1 hour later, Naruto was currently heading to the Hokage Tower. He wasn't used yet to his new weight or gravity or whatever that was. But the truth was that he was feeling very slow. Nevertheless, he knew that this would help him a lot. He had yet to deliver his photo for the ninja record. He wasted about 45 minutes to take a simple picture because the stupid photographer refused to photograph the demon brat, but with a little bit of his killing intent plus an unsheathed sword, the poor bastard decided to do it right away. He arrived at the Hokage Tower and went to one of the many rooms to deliver his photo to the person who was receiving them. He saw a door that said, "Here for the registration's photos." Thus, Naruto opened it. However, he didn't expect to see that person in the room, which made him smile. "Hello, old Hokage. What are you doing here?" The man was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage. Naruto had been seeing him from time to time in these 4 years. He was the only person who had approached him or had given him food, and sometimes, a place to spend the night when he was very young. He even did something that no one else would have done, but that was a story for another moment. Naruto respected him immensely. Hiruzen was one of the reasons he hadn't left the village yet. Hiruzen smiled back and replied, "Oh, hello Naruto-kun. I can see that you've come to deliver your photo for the registration. Regardless, I'm here because our Hokage is busy with some things, so he asked me to take care of receiving the pictures of the new genin." Naruto nodded and handed the photograph to the Sandaime, who gladly received it, believing that Naruto would finally protect the village with all his strength. He raised an eyebrow when seeing that Naruto had a scowl on his face in the photograph. He already knew the reason but didn't want to touch that point. He wanted to ask Naruto how his day had been. However, the door's room suddenly opened and an 8-year-old boy entered the room shouting, "If I defeat you now, the Yondaime will know that I'm better than you, and he'll make me his successor." The child had a shuriken in his hand and ran toward him, only to fall and hit his head at the same time. Naruto saw the kid squirming on the floor while rubbing his face because he took a big hit spot on. At that moment, a man dressed all in blue, except for black-colored glasses, entered the room. He noticed Naruto's presence. Hence, he stared at him with contempt. Naruto noticed this, but he ignored it and was about to say that he was leaving. However, he couldn't because the boy stood in front of him and yelled, "You made me stumble." Naruto just ignored him and spoke to the Sandaime, "If you'll excuse me, old Hokage, I must leave. See you later." He was about to leave, but the man at the door yelled, "Don't ignore Konohamaru-kun. He's the grandson of Sandaime-sama and, therefore, you worthless brat must show respect to him." Naruto stopped when he heard that, then he looked at Konohamaru before looking at the former Hokage. Konohamaru had a look of arrogance at this time, but he thought that Naruto was just like everyone else in the village that only saw him as the grandson of the former Hokage, the man who saved the village several times. He left his thoughts when he heard Naruto speaking, "I don't give a fuck whoever the hell he is. You just have to know if he gets in my way again, I will kill him." And with that said, Naruto left with a shunshin, leaving a disgusted Ebisu by the attitude of the demon brat for disrespecting his superiors. The Sandaime was embarrassed due to the way that things had turned out, and for not putting a stop in due time. Meanwhile, Konohamaru had stars in his eyes due to what Naruto did, and because he didn't see him just as the former Hokage's grandson. Konohamaru, after seeing that Naruto had left the room, he had tried to follow him, only to be stopped by the Sandaime's voice. "Konohamaru-kun. Please, don't bother Naruto-kun right now, you can talk to him later. Naruto is in a bad mood right now, and I think if you start asking him questions, I'm afraid that he will fulfill his threat and I don't want you to die." He sighed. But Ebisu demanded that the demon brat should be put in his place, but a stern look from Hiruzen shut him up instantly. Konohamaru didn't know why the fool of his sensei called him that, but it was more than clear that this guy Naruto was much cooler than his silly sensei would ever be. He sighed in defeat, swearing to himself that he would see him at some other time. With Naruto, Naruto was walking through the streets of the village. He only wanted to rest peacefully in his apartment. As he walked, Naruto saw that the night was about to come, which made him remember everything that had happened today, especially the gravity seals moment. Perhaps this would help him to master his gravity element. Maybe this was what he needed. However, he would only discover it when he got used to the new gravity with which he was moving through. He left his thoughts when he heard a quite interesting conversation thanks to his enhanced senses. "I'm telling you, Kazuo, with this particular test, you will be able to become a genin. Just get the secret scroll from the Hokage Tower. After that, you have to learn a technique from that scroll, and you will pass the test. Here I will test your learning and infiltration skills. If you do this correctly without anyone seeing you, and if you give me the scroll, I will approve you. You will be a genin from tomorrow on. Now I'll wait for you, Kazuo, in training ground 37. Naruto could recognize that voice. It was from his other sensei in the academy, Mizuki. That idiot concealed his contempt for him pretty well, but he couldn't fool him. Mizuki hadn't gone yesterday at the academy for the graduation exams. He didn't know why, but Naruto didn't care. Naruto could easily tell that he was lying to Kazuo, a child from a civilian family. He was one of the few kids who had failed the exam, and he concluded that Mizuki was trying to use this to obtain the Hokage's secret scroll for him. When Naruto heard where Mizuki would meet that boy, he quickly disappeared from the place to go there. Maybe he could take that scroll if that boy could steal it, and if not, well, he could kill Mizuki. Training ground 37. 1 hour later, Naruto was hiding amongst the trees. The truth was that he was already bored. Maybe Kazuo had been discovered, and Naruto was waiting like an idiot all this time for no reason. He decided that it was enough. and when he was about to leave, he felt the presence of the child approaching the area. He saw that the boy sat down on the ground a little away from him, and then noticed that the boy unrolled the scroll and began to read it. Naruto realized that the scroll was big and probably contained the best techniques of the village, the techniques of the previous Hokage. Therefore, he decided to wait any longer and went silently behind the boy, hitting him in the neck and knocking him out in an instant. Naruto saw the scroll on the ground, seeing the jutsu that the boy was reading. It was the Kage Bunshin, Shadow Clones. Naruto quickly grabbed it and sealed it in a storage scroll. He mentally thanked Danzo for teaching him these things, though he had a natural talent for these things. Now he didn't have to worry that someone would see him with a huge scroll tied to his back as he ran back to the village. Instead of the large scroll, he now had a small scroll that entered in his ninja bag smoothly. He didn't want to see the outcome of this. Hence, he left the field to go directly to his apartment. Naruto's apartment 30 minutes later. Naruto had come to his apartment minutes ago, and he had started to read the secret scroll. There were many jutsu of every kind, from futon to suiton, jutsu of all elements. There were so many jutsu that Naruto didn't think that he could learn them all. He was quite excited and was even more when he unrolled the scroll to find a section that said, Hokage Techniques. Here it stated that the current Hokage should put the steps to make some of their jutsu so that the next Hokage could be prepared if there was a threat to the village. Naruto read the Shodaime Hokage's explanation on how he managed to combine his Doton, Suiton and Samyoton, Yang release, to create the Mokuton, would release. He also explained that only a person with all these three elements, and only if that person had mastered these elements, would be able to use the Mokuton. It had their respective steps to master these elements, along with some Mokuton jutsu. Naruto read two jutsu of the Nidaime Hokage. One of them was the Suiton, Suishoha, water release, water colliding wave, and the one the Kuchios, Edo Tensei, summoning, impure world reincarnation. He wrote that he couldn't complete the last jutsu, but that it worked. However, the jutsu was only to be used as a last resort because it could temporarily bring someone from the world of the dead, and the user could use them at will. In addition, the jutsu needed 3 human sacrifices to bring one person from the world of the dead, imperfect version. Naruto had found the technique interesting. Maybe he could use it in the future and improve it a bit. The Sandaime Hokage had put 2 techniques in the scroll as well. One of them was the Tongen no Jutsu, Crystal Ball Jutsu. He explained in several steps how to perform the technique. Hiruzen wrote that he used it to observe other people, but the user of this technique needed to know the chakra signature of the person that they wanted to see. It would not work with someone who knew how to change their chakra signature constantly, something that Naruto knew how to do very well. Besides, the user should be in a range of 4 kilometers. Naruto said to himself that he would have to learn this technique shortly. Something like this would help a lot with his plans. There was also the Katon Karyudan, Fire Release, Fire Dragon Bullet. This was a short-range ninjutsu. It would be excellent for attacking multiple targets near him. Naruto then proceeded to unroll the scroll a bit more to see which techniques his beloved daddy put in. He put 2 jutsu. One of them was the Rasengan, Spiraling Sphere. Naruto read that the technique had 3 steps, which had to be mastered to perform the technique. Then he read that the technique was incomplete, and to complete it, the user had to add his or her element to the jutsu, and thus this way the user would have a much more devastating attack. But before he could do that, the user had to master their natural element. The other one said Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God Technique. Naruto tried to see the steps of this jutsu since he knew the jutsu very well. That was the jutsu which gave him the nickname Konoha no Kiroi Senko, Konoha's Yellow Flash. Such a technique would also help him a lot in his plans. However, he realized that some kind of blood seal protected it. Maybe his father made this so that only his beloved son Menma could see the jutsu when he was the next Hokage. Naruto had bitten his thumb and had put some of his blood on the seal, only to find out that nothing had happened. He analyzed the reason this didn't work and concluded that maybe it only worked with his father's blood. Naruto then sighed, closed the scroll, and resealed it so that no one could find it. After that, he went to his bed and thought about all the techniques that he now had to learn. He couldn't see all of them. He didn't even believe that he saw the 1/4 of the total jutsu. This would take him a lot of time, but several shadow clones always helped. He also thought of his father's technique. That technique should be his top priority. If he were able to master it, his father would get a big surprise when he killed him with it. Yes, Naruto was euphoric, but now he had to sleep. Tomorrow was the day of the team assignment, and he had to be there early. He decided to sleep with his gravity seals on because he had to learn as fast as possible to master his current gravity. Ninja Academy. The next day, Naruto had awakened early in the morning. Kurama had congratulated him for the great idea he had yesterday. In addition, he told him to learn all these techniques since it would help him a lot in the near future. Afterward, Naruto prepared a quick breakfast and went to the academy with his typical clothes, with his jacket and his ANBU pants. He was using his headband as a belt and tied his katana to his waist. He had arrived at the academy a little late that day. He opened the door slightly and saw that everyone was already there waiting for Irika, who hadn't yet arrived, which was strange because he was never late. Naruto shrugged and opened the door. He noticed that everyone turned to look at him, and many of them quickly looked away because they didn't want to annoy him while other people stared at him. Sasuke and Menma, both with anger. It seemed that being beaten by him had bothered them. Hence, Naruto lifted his hand and showed to both of them his middle finger. Both became even angrier, but they did nothing since they thought that they would have their revenge on him in the future. Then he saw that Ino was staring at him, but she looked away when he placed his eyes on her. However, Naruto appeared next to her in a shunshin. The class looked at him in shock when he used this technique because that jutsu was something that the teachers of the academy didn't teach. After that, they were even more shocked due to the next thing that Naruto did. Naruto waved Ino and then proceeded to give her a hot kiss on her lips. Ino was surprised at first, but then she returned the kiss with the same intensity. Some of the boys looked at Naruto with envy, and some girls as well, while others with indifference. Some people thought it was funny, so they started to whistle and applaud. After several seconds that felt like minutes, both stopped. One of them because he that thought it was enough and the other one from the lack of air. The redhead then decided to ask, "So tell me, Ino-chan, how was your day?" Ino let out a happy sigh and replied, "Never so well." Naruto smiled at her response before motioning Ino to sit down on his lap. She blushed a bit but decided to do it. After she had done it, Naruto welcomed her gladly. Meanwhile, most of the class already believed that both were in a relationship. At that moment, the door of the class opened, and a bandaged Irika entered the class. Many of them were instantly worried, and they asked him what happened. Irika replied, "Thanks for your concern. Yesterday there was an unfortunate event in the village. Sadly, Mizuki killed Kazuo and escaped with the Hokage's secret scroll. I had a fight with Mizuki, but I had to protect Kazuo. He was already dead at the time, but I didn't know it. So Mizuki took advantage of that and then ran away. That's why I'm late this day. I went to report about this to the Hokage and notify Kazuo's parents about his death." When Irika finished, all the students became sad. Okay, Naruto was the obvious exception. He was mentally smiling. Now he didn't have to worry about being found out. They believed that it had been the stupid of Mizuki. This couldn't be more than an advantage for him. He looked at Ino and started playing with her. Naruto, after finishing, he smiled when seeing the eyes of the pleasure of Ino. Therefore, he stated, I think I could get used to this flavor, and perhaps one of these days I may have the main course." As he said this, he stroked her again. Ino allowed him again. She didn't care. She didn't mind giving her virginity to Naruto anymore. If he wanted it, he could do it after leaving this place. She was a kunoichi now, wasn't she? If she was old enough to kill, then she was old enough to have sex, right? Who cares about what other people might say? She then replied, "Whenever you want, Naruto-kun." And she kissed him. Naruto smiled and returned the kiss. Then Irika shouted, "Hey, you two there in the back. You can do that at another moment. Now I'm saying the teams, pay attention." Irika was watching them for a while. He had not seen anything unusual besides caresses and kisses. He wasn't against displays of affection, but they should, at least, pay attention now. Later they would have time for that. Then he continued, "Team 7, Menma Namikaze, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno, your Jounin sensei is Kakashi Hatake. Oh, wow." When he said that, Sakura jumped from her seat and started saying things about the true love always won and stuff like that. Menma was happy that his Nii-san would be his sensei, and Sasuke accepted him since he had heard from Itachi about the feats of this man. Then Irika continued, "Team 8, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga. Your Jounin sensei will be Kurenai Yuhi." They all nodded, allowing Irika continue. Just then, Ino got excited because only she, Naruto, Chuji and Shikamaru didn't have a team yet. Ino believed that she would be on the same team as Naruto. Irika then continued, "Team 9, still active. Team 10, Chuji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Your Jounin sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi." Shikamaru and Chuji sighed with relief because they wouldn't be on the same team as Naruto, while Ino sighed sadly and put her head on the desk because she wanted to be with Naruto, who was now stroking her hair. "Don't worry about it, Ino-chan. It's not like we are going to stop seeing each other or something like that. You and I will have a good time, even if we aren't on the same team." When he said that, Naruto pinched Ino's ass, and she gave a surprised squeal, which made everyone in the class turn around and look at them. Ino blushed in embarrassment, and Naruto yelled, "What are you looking at, you bastards? Look straight ahead or I will cut you into pieces." Naruto let out some of his killing intent and everyone felt a chill running down their spines, which made them turn around again. Naruto hated people who suddenly turned around to look at him. Irika shook his head at his attitude, and then continued, "Well, and finally, Team 13, Naruto. Enko Mitarashi will be your Jounin sensei." When he said that, Naruto got surprised along with the others in the room. Then he smiled inwardly. Enko so cool, He would do many things with her, and many of them were not exactly training or doing missions. His thoughts were interrupted when an annoying voice yelled angrily. Why does this demon have a personal sensei? He won't have to be wasting his time with other stupid teammates. I'm the one who should have a personal sensei. Not that unworthy demon. Sasuke yelled angrily. Ino glared at Sasuke for calling Naruto in such a way. Menma glared at him because he called him stupid, and Sakura watched all of this with concern. Iruka just sighed. Sasuke Hokage's orders, now shut up. Naruto didn't care about what Sasuke said about him, as he had already showed how pathetic he was, and when the time came, he would kill him. Iruka then continued, now everyone wait here for your Jounin sensei. They will arrive here in no time. So stay alert because they will enter here and take you out to get to know you. Now I'm leaving. I hope that everyone have a good future in your ninja careers. Then Iruka left the room. After a few moments, the Jounin began to arrive and take their respective teams. In the class still were the teams from 7 to 10 and Naruto, who was kissing Ino right now. Then Asuma and Kurenai arrived, just to see the scene between Naruto and Ino. Both narrowed their eyes and Asuma decided to interrupt. Okay, Team 10, follow me. Ino just sighed sadly, as she stood up from Naruto's lap, seeing that his knee looked a little wet. She blushed a lot and proceeded to leave, not before Naruto told her that he would see her later. Again, Asuma and Kurenai narrowed their eyes at that attitude, and Kurenai added, you too, Team 8, follow me. And with that said, Team 8 stood up and followed their sensei. Naruto then rose from his seat and spoke, I can finally get out of here. Team 7 turned around when they heard this and Menma asked, what do you mean, Doge? Your sensei hasn't arrived yet. You can't leave before she gets here. Naruto snorted and spoke sarcastically, but that's what makes us different, Haim-chan. I'm so cool that I don't need to wait for my Jounin sensei. Besides that, I won't have to spend my time with a banshee and a drama queen. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm leaving, losers. Afterward, Menma and Sasuke growled in fury. They wanted to attack him, but Naruto disappeared in a fire shunshin, leaving everyone around with an expression of surprise. Sasuke and Menma looked with a hint of envy, and they asked themselves at what point he learned all that. Both let out a sigh, and they returned to their seats waiting for their sensei. Forest of Death 5 minutes later. Naruto had reached the forest 3 minutes ago and had sat down in one of the places where he always trained as he waited for someone. After 5 minutes he felt a presence that had been watching him for about 2 minutes. Hey, Anko-chan, get out from there. I know you've been observing me for a while. Why don't you come over here and show me your beautiful figure? Naruto brazenly asked as he heard a cheeky giggle, followed by a woman's voice. Do you want to have more fun with your dear Anko-chan, Naruto-kun? Just then, Anko appeared and kissed Naruto. She had to duck her head a little to do it. She was just a little bit taller than Naruto was, and Anko knew that Naruto would be far taller than she would in a few years. Naruto returned the kiss. You know, having someone as beautiful and sexy as you as my sensei is fucking awesome. Until now, I can only remember having male teachers. Tell me, did you have something to do with it? Naruto asked, wiggling his eyebrows. Anko pulled back a little, and she sat down on a rock as she replied, indeed. As no one offered to be your sensei, I saw the perfect opportunity to do it. I couldn't let my cute kitten alone. What would have become of you? Anko feigned sadness. Naruto growled while squinting, I'm not a kitten. You know I hate being called that, don't say that again. Anko smiled and walked sensually over to Naruto to ask, what would you do if I say it, kitten? Naruto replied, this. Once Naruto finished teaching her good manners, he stood up. Naruto was still able to do far more, but he said himself that it wasn't the time nor the place to do something like this. He then turned around to see a fully dressed Anko, and he asked with a smile, could you remind me how you and I ended up doing this? Anko smiled back and replied, well, that's easy. About 6 months ago, in the same place, I told you what Orochimaru made me see when I was his student. You said you didn't care because you could understand me. Besides, you promised me that someday you would take this mark off of my body. After that, you told me about your past and your plans, and I said that I would help when the time came, but without harming those who have become potential allies. Anko finished and sat down on the ground. Naruto sat down as well and stated, and you know very well that at some point I'll have to leave the village, and I won't be able to return for a while, only when I have everything ready. Maybe the jutsu of his father could help him return from time to time, but he had to find a way to unlock the seal that was blocking the Hiraishin of his father. In some way or another, Naruto would need to get some of his blood to release the seal because he was sure that it only reacted to his blood. Anko nodded and replied, don't worry. I know you'll find a way to show up here without anyone detecting you, not for nothing you have those eyes. Anko also knew about his Rinnegan. There was no person in who Naruto trusted more, except for Kurama. He felt something strange when he was near Anko. Naruto felt he could tell her everything without the fear that she would do something with that information. He knew it was wrong to have so much confidence in someone after all that had happened to him for that kind of naivety. But with Anko, it was simply different. He felt she was a person whom he could have a real connection with. But obviously, Naruto wasn't that deep with his feelings, and though that was what he really felt, he decided to ignore it and not to think much about it. Naruto quickly pulled those thoughts away and stated, "Putting that aside, what do we do now? Do I have to take a test or something? I know the Jounin sensei have to test their students to be genins of the village. They always told us that en route." Anko looked at him and shrugged. "Well, I see no point in giving you a test. You're stronger than I am. So I don't know what test I could give you. I know your abilities very well. Don't worry, I'll just lie and tell the Hokage that you completed your test, and from tomorrow on, you'll be a lovely genin." Naruto groaned and replied, "And from now we'll have to do those stupid D-rank missions." He crossed his arms. He didn't want to do those silly tasks. Nonetheless, before he could continue complaining, Anko stated, "Ha! Who do you think I am? I don't do stupid D-rank missions. We won't be doing missions below the C rank, but I'll tell you that we'll do very few of those. Protecting people or killing mercenary bastards is so stupid." Naruto nodded and approached Anko to kiss her on her lips before speaking. "If we have nothing else to do, then I'll leave. I have many things to do." "Oh, did you hear what happened yesterday? About the scroll of seals?" he asked. Anko thought about this for a moment, and then she opened her eyes in shock. "Was it you? But how?" she asked, genuinely surprised. Naruto shook his head and replied, "It wasn't really me, I just had a lucky break. I could hear Mizuki's plans. I waited until the child has stolen the scroll before taking it away. Iruka said that the boy died, but I just knocked him out. It seems that the bastard of Mizuki became angry and killed him, he. But now he is paying for something that he couldn't accomplish." After saying that, Anko laughed too. Then they said goodbye to each other and walked away from the forest to complete their own agenda. Anko had to inform the Hokage about the completion of the test that Naruto took, and Naruto had to read more techniques of the scroll and test some of them. Konohagakure no Sato 2 weeks later, Naruto was walking through the streets of Konoha. It had been 2 weeks since Anko and Naruto had their encounter in the Forest of Death. In these 2 weeks, Naruto began to practice several techniques from the Hokage's secret scroll. He had also increased the gravity of his body because after a week his body had become used to the previous gravity. That was all he did, and for that reason, he had ventured into the Forest of Death in those days, in a place where not even Anko would find him. He had discovered that his Rinnegan helped him to learn the jutsu extremely fast. He didn't realize this until now because he would just occasionally use his Rinnegan en route. Besides that, after leaving route, he could no longer get new jutsu, but now he had plenty of them. In addition, he no longer was in a place where he always had to watch his back, which made him realize of this peculiarity of his dijutsu. He hadn't tried the Hokage's jutsu yet, except for the Rasengan. He spent most of these 2 weeks mastering the first and second step of the Rasengan. And since he knew that his type of chakra was dextro-rotatory, it had been easier for him to master the first step. In the scroll said that some water balloons could help with training and also the how to use. He managed to explode the water balloon in 3 days, which consisted of the rotation of chakra in the balloon, and a full week to burst the balloon without water because it was harder to imagine how it should rotate the chakra. Although he had an excellent control of chakra, it was still quite difficult for him to perform the steps without appropriate advice. Now only the third step remained, which was to combine the 2 previous steps, and hold the chakra without leaking. The balloon didn't have to explode or move. If that were to happen, he would have mastered the technique. However, he still didn't find the way to do it. It was quite difficult. He had to admit that the bastard of his father was a fucking genius. Until now, he could only make a ball, but it didn't have the consistency or the power of the full Rasengan. Nonetheless, he didn't care about this since he would have enough time to accomplish the last step. He wouldn't worry about not being able to do it. He would find a way to do it in due time. Naruto stopped remembering that when an ANBU landed in front of him, an ANBU with whom he had spoken to before. The ANBU then spoke, "Naruto-san, Hokage-sama requests your presence in the Hokage Tower. He has a mission ready for you." Naruto nodded. "Thanks, Usagi-san. I hadn't seen you since that day when those idiots attacked me. After that, the villagers didn't bother me again. Maybe that's the reason you didn't show up again. Am I wrong?" Naruto asked, and Yugao nodded. "Hi, Naruto-san. After that day, we haven't seen the villagers trying anything against you. Now I must leave, goodbye, Naruto-san." Then Yugao disappeared from the area in a shunshin. Naruto stared at that place for a moment as he thought about the words of Yugao, a name that Naruto didn't know yet. He knew that his father hadn't assigned the ANBU to protect him, but to keep an eye on him because Naruto believed that his father just wanted to put him in a cell. He couldn't be more than right. He stopped thinking and walked slowly toward the Hokage Tower. He could have used the shunshin to arrive faster, but he didn't want to. Hokage Tower. 30 minutes later, Naruto had finally reached the Hokage Tower. He had walked as slowly as he could by walking around the streets for a while. When he realized that enough time had passed, he stopped roaming the streets and headed to the tower. The secretary received him with a cold stare, but Naruto ignored her and told her that the Hokage had called him. She told him to wait, and Naruto did so. After a few minutes, she came back and said that the Hokage would receive him. Naruto nodded and went to the Hokage's office. He knocked on the door and heard his father saying, "Come in." Naruto opened the door and entered the room just to see Tenten, Lee, Niji and Guy in there. Naruto waved Lee, Tenten, and Guy before addressing to his father. "Did you call me, Hokage-sama?" he asked. Minato looked at him with a tick in his eyebrow and replied, "Yes, 30 minutes ago." "Tell me, why did you take so long?" he asked, squinting. Naruto then put a finger on his chin as if he was thinking. He then quietly answered, "Sorry, Hokage-sama. I got lost on the road of life." At those familiar words, Minato's eyebrow had another tick. In another place of the village, a silver-haired man, who was reading an orange book, suddenly sneezed and looked to the sky as he thought proudly, "I can feel that someone has begun to follow my philosophy." After that, he looked at his team and said, "Come on, Team 7. You still have to capture Tora, hurry up. These D-rank missions won't be done by themselves." All of Team 7, who were full of scratches, just groaned in pain. They still had to capture the demon cat. Who would have said that a stupid cat would be so difficult to catch? Back in the Hokage Tower, Minato watched the genin in front of him and spoke, "Okay, I have a C-rank mission ready for you. We have received reports that in Katabane Kinzen, a small village in Kawa no Kuni, Land of Rivers, has been recently attacked by a clan, and they began to kill the villagers for no apparent reason. They call themselves the Kurasuki family. Your mission is to go there and see if these reports are correct. If they are, the mission will turn to B-rank because you will have to expel that family from the area, and if they don't cooperate, you will have to use deadly force. We, as an allied village of Kawa no Kuni, Land of Rivers, cannot allow strangers attack them." Everyone nodded and Minato spoke again. "The leader of this mission will be Naruto," but then Niji growled. "Why does this loser get to be the leader of our team? He has only been a genin for 2 weeks, and he is now leading a team? That seems stupid and pointless to me," Niji stated, staring at Naruto, who looked at him mockingly while his team shook their heads at his attitude. Minato sharply hit his desk before asking, "Are you trying to ignore a direct order from the Hokage? Do you want to face a court-martial? I don't owe you any explanations, but I'll tell you why I chose Naruto as the leader of this mission. First, because his Jounin-sensei has requested this to me as a test. If he completes this mission, then they won't be doing any D-rank missions ever again. But if he fails, then they will have to do D-rank missions for 5 consecutive months. Besides that, on this mission, stealth is essential, and Naruto is excellent at that. So, shut up or I'll throw you into a cell for 3 weeks." When Niji heard the latter, he quickly straightened up, nodded to his Hokage, and said nothing more. There were more reasons why he had chosen Naruto, like being a former Root member, being in multiple missions harder than this one, and for being the leader of some Root members in some of his past missions. But of course, he couldn't say all that. After that, Minato spoke about the mission. "Now, according to the information that Gaisen has provided to me, the leader of this clan could be one of the Kiri no Shinobigatana, ninja swordsmen of the mist, Raiga Kurasuki. According to reports from Kiri, Raiga was one of them. Although he's not as strong as the others are, he's dangerous since he has in his possession the Kiba, fangs. According to Kiri, he stole them, and then he became a missing nin. I shouldn't tell you to beware of the Kiba because I think you should know something like that. However, be cautious, those swords are very powerful at Raitan. So Naruto, as a user of Futon, will have more chances of defeating him, now dismissed." With that said, everyone started to leave, but Naruto stopped his team and began to give them orders, which consisted of going home and getting supplies for the mission, as well as checking their ninja equipment. After that, he told them to be at the gates of the village at 11:50 a.m. They all nodded and began to leave. Minato couldn't help smiling proudly when seeing Naruto doing that. Nevertheless, he quickly realized what he did and frowned as he thought, "Why I am proud of Naruto. He's not my son. Remember, Minato. He's not your son. Wait, did I just call him by his name? What the hell is happening to me?" After that, he shouted to his secretary, "Megumi. Suspend all my appointments for today. I will go home early." Then he disappeared in a yellow flash without even waiting for his secretary's consent. He had a lot to think, and even more about Naruto. Somewhere in Kawa no Kuni, Land of Rivers, 2 hours later, Naruto and the team under his command had run for 2 hours without stopping through Hai no Kuni, Land of Fire, until being near to Kawa no Kuni, Land of Rivers. After a few minutes of running in Kawa no Kuni, Lee perceived a smell of the air and spoke, running in that direction, curry. More to his front, Naruto could see a curry restaurant, while the others just walked quietly to where Lee went. When they arrived, they saw that he was carrying a tiny old woman, giving her turns around the air. After a few moments, the old lady invited them to eat something. After a few minutes of being in the place, Lee began to tell the story when he had just become a genin and how the woman's curry saved his life. The old lady nodded to all Lee's words and then she brought a plate of curry for each of them. It looked weird, it was black, and it seemed to bubble. Lee devoured it, and after a moment, Naruto did it too. Naruto felt nothing wrong because he had eaten worse things before, but Tenten and Niji seemed about to explode. After Tenten and Niji had drunk some water, Lee spoke again. By the way, Oba-san, where is Karashi-san? He asked since he hadn't seen Karasher for many months, and Lee asked to himself how he had been. Lee could see the old woman becoming sad, so he listened to her next words carefully. I'm sorry, after he saw you training so hard, Karasher became very energetic and left the village. Maybe because I told him that he had to get stronger. He said that he would be strong and that he would train with the Kurasuki clan. But don't worry, I don't blame you, you know it. After saying that, Lee stopped eating and squeezed his fists tightly as he said, it's my responsibility. The old woman shook her head, but Lee ignored her. Naruto-kun, please, add the recovery of Karashi-kun to this mission. Naruto, who was eating quietly, stopped when he heard Lee's request. Naruto just replied calmly, negative. If this guy Karasher joined that clan, then he must be involved in the assassinations. Therefore, if he gets in our way, I'll have no choice but to kill him. Lee lost all enthusiasm while the old woman got scared since she didn't know that Karasher was doing such things. Besides, she was also worried by the fact that they wanted to kill him. Lee became angry. Naruto-kun, you've lost your flames of youth. Karasher is my friend, and I will save him. Even if you don't want it, Lee stated firmly. Naruto looked at Lee for a few seconds and retorted, listen to me, Lee. With this kind of attitude, you'll never be a great ninja. We have a mission assigned by the Hokage. He gave us clear instructions that we must follow. But as I said, if that guy gets in our way and refuses to cooperate, then we'll have no choice but to kill him. Now sit down. Or I'll put in the report that you tried to insubordinate. Lee wanted to object again, but he decided to heed Naruto's warning. Maybe Karasher wouldn't do anything stupid, and they wouldn't need to kill him. Then Niji added, I agree with the Losai mean, Naruto. The Hokage has assigned us a mission, so we must complete this mission as he told us, we can't fail. Naruto then decided to speak, whatever you say, Niji. Now you can go to rest or train. Or whatever you want to do, but I want you to be ready for tomorrow. We'll continue with the mission tomorrow morning. If you are going to train, don't strive too much. I want you to have enough energy for the mission. I'm going to train a bit, I can't be wasting time even on a mission. Then Naruto got up from his seat and left the building, heading toward the forest. Tenten quickly apologized to the old woman and followed Naruto to train a bit, or something else. Niji just shrugged and went to one of the rooms that the old lady had offered them, and Lee was appeasing her, saying that nothing bad would happen to Karasher.